Red Bull GRC is now available on iRacing. I personally put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, developing the cars, the tracks, the dirt, making sure it is authentic as possible, and I really think you guys are going to love it. The best part is that this 600 horsepower Volkswagen Beetle is free to all members. So get signed up now and come race me online.
Hello and welcome to another night here on a Friday night, dirt night here on RaceSpot TV and iRacingLive. Randy Chenowth, Hugo Louis, Kim Walsh bringing you all the action on this one as we have another fun night of racing action here between the global Rallycross cars, the World of Outlaws late models, and the World of Outlaws 410 sprint cars. I hope you guys are looking forward to this as much as I have, because for the first time this season in the Rallycross cars, we head out to the West Coast and are taking to the deserts in Arizona as we hit Phoenix Motor Speedway for the first time in one of these biggest split races. Cam, this is one of the more interesting layouts that we have inside the Phoenix Motor Speedway. Very, very unique in terms of the Joker and jump layout. Really sort of a standout track, I think, across all of the ones we have, and maybe I think one of the favorites for a good number of people.
Yeah, this is the place of my very first race here on GRC, and actually it involved me losing to Scott Speed on opening night. And, well, it's just been downhill ever then. But yeah, this Phoenix circuit I like. They've made a couple of tweaks to it since it came out, and they've all been for the better. Qualifying is just getting underway right now, and you can just... I think what I love is the barrel down to really the first corner. It's a near hairpin, but you can really set yourself up with a quick left-right, and it is just a fantastic flow. It's a great circuit, but you gotta be careful though. Running too wide can get you in a lot of trouble.
It's definitely a very narrow circuit in terms of the racing lines here at Phoenix. There's a couple places where it feels pretty actually, spread out. Feels like there's a lot of room. That's one of the things that this Phoenix Motor Speedway was really, really known for, is feeling like you have a lot of room in some places, even up on the oval, but it definitely can narrow up in certain situations. Qualifying, just now getting its way going. Drivers out there, most everyone just starting their first time lap or just out on their first pace lap. No time going in just yet, but the big question mark has to be, Cam, Mitchell DeYoung. Last week,
yes,
we finally got taken down in at least some respect by Nathan Lyon. He wasn't picture perfect the way we had seen from the previous events up to then. He's finished second in his heat as opposed to winning as he takes a big bobble up and over the jump here on his first qualifying lap. Will Mitchell be able to reclaim that perfection that he has had in the weeks past?
Well, seeing as looking at the practice times, he was 2/10 quicker than literally everybody else. I'm gonna go with Let's see, he had a botched qualifying lap where he lost control of the car, and that's still good enough for first place on the first lap. You can watch him run through it. Look at how close he gets to that outer barrier as he's running right through right now. You can see the jump now. Actually, this is probably one of the most precarious, as you can see how angled that car is. This is probably, I would have to say, the most frightening dirt jump that we have here on the iRacing surface so far. And for me, I think, frankly, the lap times come really quick, and we'll see what DeYoung does here.
That jump is definitely one of the most difficult. Last time through the 36.596, this lap looked a little bit more under control, but slower to the 36.62. Would still be good for pole, but he still has one more lap in that VRS Coanda SimSport Volkswagen Beetle. VRS Coanda SimSport, Mitchell's team unveiling some new skins today, both for the Ford Fiesta and this Volkswagen. Mr. Andy Warner putting in good work. You can see those on Mitchell's car, Ren's Broken car, and Jake Hewlett's car. They're all running the Volkswagen out of that Coanda stable here today. So some interesting and very nice looking skins Andy's putting out as Coanda doing a bit of a rebrand for 2018.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of the orange bonnet. But you know what though, I don't think the colors of the car, you can paint those cars anything as long as there's purple and a white. Anyone can tell it's a Coanda car. But I also got to say, I think what's been nice is that the paint schemes have been coming in. hard and fast here on the iRacing service, simply because it's been getting such support from GRC themselves. They do weekly contests and stuff, and I love seeing it. I can see there's a VEC machine out there. INEX, of course, has a new paint scheme that I really like, and it's good to see the paint schemes coming on and looking really sharp as ever.
Yeah, I think we finally had these new cars out long enough that we're seeing a lot of teams get their paint finalized. Julian Chipolewski, he's out there in an Apex scheme. So you got Apex out there, VEC, they've had theirs for a couple weeks. As you said, INEX has gotten their cars, and Coanda has gotten their stuff finalized. So it's going to make our grids much, much prettier. And I think it's going to make those, like you said, those Red Bull Global Rallycross, those weekly competitions they've been doing for their favorite paint schemes, all the more exciting. Qualifying still going, of course, and things are very, very close up front. Mitchell DeYoung still on pole at 36.596. All his laps have been done and are completed. Stilian Chipolewski, he is in second with a 36.645. Couple of drivers that I think we still need to see go out. Number 7, actually, no, I take that back. No, Hewlett's, yeah, but he started his 4th lap, so he's botched all the laps before this. So Jake Hewlett is going to be the last driver on the timesheet, so not starting today the way Jake Hewlett would want, Cam, because he had very bad luck last week, was running strong but made a mistake. It went from 2nd to I think 7th in the span of the last half of a lap or so. And to start his night like this, maybe you can get the bad luck out of the way early, but it's going to be a big uphill climb at number 7.
Yeah, not one single lap time put in all of the tries. Just a quick little PSA, by the way. Obviously, everyone's watching out there, probably at their computers before we get the grid out of the way. But Northeast, black ice, drive very safely. Be careful.
Yeah, everyone be safe out there around this time of year. Precarious driving conditions, to say the least. But let's go down your starting grid here for heat number 1 as we get ready for racing action here on Dirt Night in the Global Rallycross cars. Mitchell DeYoung will be on the pole in heat number 1 with Sindre Setsas starting alongside him. Nathan Lyon will be in 3rd. He won this heat last week. Let's see if he can repeat. Michael Guest will be starting in the 4th spot. Josh Rogers in 5th. Julian Smith 6th. And Jake Hewlett, who did not get a qualifying time, will be starting in the 7th spot. As always, top 4 cars are going to be the ones transferring directly to the feature. Everyone else will have to go through in the consolation race. 5 laps, you have to joker once. Lights are on, revs are up. And 28 wheel drive starts storming its way off towards corner number 1. It's not a great start from Mitchell DeYoung. Sindre Setsas has the advantage as they go braking into corner number 1 at this hairpin. They're going to be 3 wide as Josh Rogers slots himself up on the outside. He makes big contact with the tire barrier. That's going to be big damage. A couple cars as well. They're getting involved in a secondary incident. Jake Hewitt's involved in this one. Also, Julian Cheyenne in a big lap 1, turn 1 incident with Mitchell DeYoung, as well as Sindre Setsas. Nathan Lyon, I believe, as well. He's actually slow on the Joker. Number pretty much most of your field Jokers here on lap 1, but it's a big breakaway from the top 2 camp.
Yeah, and that was a very large incident in the back there. Started from just a little bit of touching. The cars that really were involved in that contact really kind of made out. No real issues there, but in the evasion of it, one of the cars hit one of the tire barriers, and that collected Jake Hewlett. So not what you wanted to see. Well, I'm surprised to see Nathan Lyon. He's way back there. He's in the Ford, though, but I got to say, no surprise. Mitchell DeYoung, he's gotten away. Sindre Setsas, he's gotten away. And, well, the duel is on.
Sindre Setsas is someone who the last couple weeks has shown a lot of progress and a lot of momentum. He was very, very exciting to watch at IRP, and he had a good night of racing last week at Daytona as well, and he's starting this night off well. Started 2nd in this heat and continues to run 2nd. Mitchell's just a little bit out of reach right now as they come through corner number 1 for their 3rd lap of 5 here. Fight between 3rd and 4th is sort of close between Josh Rogers and Michael Guest. Nathan Lyon, though, the driver who won this heat last week, like we said, he's still lurking behind Michael Guest by about a second. Michael actually jokers here, so he might be able to jump Josh and Joshua Rogers. And speaking of the jump, did not get a good leap and a good landing, and he's going to be taking a long time getting that Volkswagen Beetle slotted back and facing the right way. We mentioned the fact that this jump is very precarious, Cam, and that just put Nathan Lyon into a transfer spot because of it.
Yeah, and Nathan Lyon, well, he's just on a recovery rate now, and he wants to make sure that he gets into that game. Honestly, I'm still kind of, the jury's still out to me. I like getting out there and getting the racing in, but you know what? You always have the possibility of not making the A main or the feature, whichever you want to call it. So you know what? Transfer early, get it in easy. As I will say, for Mitchell de Jong, I don't think he's got anything to worry about right now. It's a 5-lap race. He's just about to start the final lap, and he has got a large lead, 2.8 seconds.
A casual 3-second or so advantage as he comes across the stripe to take the white flag in towards corner number 1 now for the final time. Hard on the brakes and getting that Volkswagen Beetle turned around nicely. As always, not seeing any flamboyant or handbrake usage from Mitchell. He's very, very smooth. Just with the inputs and really uses the natural oversteer of the car to get that thing rotated. You see him really fighting with it though on the landing of that jump, trying to get kicked over to the left side. A lot of dirt on this layout is Phoenix as well. I think in terms of all the tracks we have, the highest percentage of the racing surface that is not asphalt. But Mitchell's going to come off that final corner, very precarious and slow final sector, and he's going to win heat race number 1. Sensei Sensas and Michael Guest, they're going to be door to door as they come to the stripe. Sensas will hold on to that second spot. Michael Guest third, and Nathan Lyon, he will take that 4th spot away. Jake Hewlett, somehow after being caught up in that big incident lap 1 turn 1, he will finish 5th, Cam, so he'll have at least a good starting position for the consolation race.
Yeah, second grid is getting ready to rock and roll, but I gotta say that was a very good battle there, and you can see just how easy it is for cars to come up together for contact once they get to the doors, so it'll be interesting.
So let's now get ourselves sorted for heat race number 2 as those cars begin setting their grid. Stelian Chipolevsky, he's going to roll off on the pole. Graham Bolin will be in 2nd. Renz Broekman in 3rd. Ryan Kuhn 4th. Logan Clampett in 5th. And Fabian Monterey in 6th. Lights are going to be on. Cars are in 1st gear, and we are just waiting now for these drivers to get that green light so we can get heat race 2 going. And here we go. It's a good start from both of your front runners here. They're going to be door to door into corner number 1. Not the advantage we saw from Setsas and Mitchell de Jong in the last heat. Stelian Chipolevsky on the bottom. It's a little bit of a tap from Bolin. Renz Broekman trying to come through here, but that door gets slammed shut. Stelian is going to joker here on lap 1. 4 cars take the joker here early. It's Chipolevsky, Renz Broekman, Graham Bolin, Fabian Monterey. They all joker and are going to be the top 4 because of it. Ryan Kuhn and Logan Clampett, they take the jump, and because of that, they're going to be right now out of that running order for the top 4, but they might have some good clean air here, Cam, to reel those drivers up in front down and make a good pass, easy pass with a joker in a few laps.
Yeah, but Ryan Kuhn, he ended up tackling one of those barriers, and to be honest, he took a really good hard lick on that right front. We've seen that not do well with the Fords. That actually slowed both Logan Clampett and Ryan Kuhn up. They don't take the joker this time either. They take the jump, very rocky jump from Ryan Kuhn, but the front 4 right now, they're all just fairly evenly paced away, but right now Logan Clampett, he wants to get by. Now, they did have to push these barriers out to the curbing, and actually here comes Logan Clampett. He's going to make that pass through that very long right-hander on the dirt, and that's why I love that corner, because you can really wheel that machine, and there goes Logan Clampett. He's now moved himself up. Let's see if he takes a joker.
I think for Logan, this might even sort of play out to be a bit of a mistake because he sort of had to pass Ryan the hard way. I think from Logan, I would have preferred to see him joker last time. He wouldn't have had to lose time on the racetrack trying to get around that car of Ryan Kuhn and right then and there, and it's a bit of a mistake at the section after the jump. So Logan Clampett not looking picture perfect here. Top 4 though still looking nice and tidy. Stelian is out to a pretty big advantage. Renz Broekman and Graham Bolin fighting for 2nd and 3rd. Ryan Kuhn just got Logan Clampett back. So these drivers, Cam, neither of them wanting to joker, and I think they're costing each other huge amounts of time because of it.
Well, and here comes Logan Clampett on the inside. He almost had to dab the handbrake by the looks of it. I think he just locked up, but he really needed to wheel that machine into the on the brakes. There goes Logan Clampett. He said, I've had enough of this. And so he will go through the joker lap, and now it's very tricky rejoining, and he actually hits the pit wall, that little concrete barrier there. That's not going to be good. That's not how you want to slow the machine down. But he then enters the right-hander here, so he's a little bit up ahead, but I almost wonder now with that slight mistake if Ryan Kuhn isn't going to be able to challenge back when he takes a joker.
He's going to have to joker here on this final lap as Stelian Chipolevsky, he has that white flag, half the lap done, and he has a big margin to 2nd place. Renz Broekman as well as Graham Bolin have to keep a little bit of an eye here on Ryan Kuhn as he is the last place runner right now as he's going to take the joker. Let's see if he can reel in Logan Clampett here up on the exit. And let's see, where will Ryan come out? He's going to definitely have that spot. But Stelian Chipolevsky, he's going to come through the final corner. He's going to win heat race number 2. Renz Broekman holds on to 2nd. Graham Bolin in 3rd. Fabian Monterey in 4th. Logan Clampett and Ryan Kuhn to fight that fighting Cam very close. And I just think that's where the Joker strategy comes into play, why you want a Joker early. I think if they hadn't cost each other the time they did fighting, they may have transferred into the final event instead of having to now run their way in through the consolation.
Yeah, 5-car consolation, and it looks to me, I think only 2 are moving to the feature, so 2 out of the 5. But yeah, it did show good practice for the battle. But either way, we'll have to see here what they do as they get ready to rock and roll.
Ready to begin to build here for this consolation race, and let's see who gets themselves transferred. Jake Hewlett and Ryan Kuhn, both not getting great starts. Jake Hewlett coming under a little bit of attack from Logan Clampett. Ryan Kuhn is going to fall back all the way to the outside. He might go to dead last in this B main, and that's not what you want when you're starting on the front row, but it's a great jump here from Jake Hewlett and Joshua Rogers. He is now comfortably in the second spot. Only 2 cars Joker here, and that's going to be those 2 of Jake Hewlett and Josh Rogers. Clampett, Kuhn, and Shine. None of them take the Joker.
Really interesting to see here was Jake Hewlett and Joshua Rogers right at the end of the pavement, right before they hit the dirt on the exit of the Joker. They threw the Volkswagens to the side. They gave it a stab of handbrake, and I think that really gave them an amazing edge here. And I wouldn't be too surprised if we don't see Jake Hewlett and Joshua Rogers pulling away even after everyone else takes the Joker. Ryan Kuhn, Logan Clampett, they're picking up right where they left off.
They also have a new driver company in Julian Shine. Ryan Kuhn wisely Joker's very early here on lap number 2, so he's definitely going to pick off Logan Clampett. Where did he come out in regards to these other 2 drivers, though? He's going to come out in the 3rd spot. He didn't look nearly as smooth or nearly as quick on the exit of that Joker did Ryan Kuhn, but he's still very, very close to the rear end of that TTL machine of Joshua Rogers. A couple of PTL drivers we've been seeing in Dirt Nice, both Josh and Dylan Sharman. Both have been very, very fantastic. Ryan Kuhn very late on the brakes in turn 1. I thought he was thinking about having to move here, and that would have been very, very deep indeed, but he's going to sit in that 3rd spot. But Josh has to be picture perfect. Cam, we saw him make that mistake over the jump in his heat race. He needs to be perfectly smooth to keep Ryan behind. Meanwhile, you're still going to have Logan and Shine behind. They're going to be putting in quick laps, trying to somehow jump those 2 in front and get themselves into a transfer spot through the Joker.
Yeah, and right now we just have that battle pretty much between Julian Shine and Logan Clampett, but these guys aren't even really remotely that close. Somebody's around. Ryan Kuhn, he has lost the machine. Did he hit one of those barriers? Yes, he did. He lost it, hitting a barrier on the exit, going to the last corner. So for Ryan Kuhn, that is going to be day done for him because he is not going to have any time to recover. But right now, that's actually pretty massive. He was almost setting himself up to challenge for a final transfer spot. Now I gotta say, it's pretty much looking like Jake Hewlett, Joshua Rogers, unless something happens.
Julian Shine takes the Joker, and he's going to jump Logan Clampett for the time being. Logan working through that final corner. It's actually a bigger advantage than I thought for Julian Shine. He has a massive car length advantage over Logan Clampett, so now he needs to try to reel in Josh Rogers and Jake Hewlett. We need to keep an eye on these top 2 with 2 laps to go. Last time up and over the jump, both of these drivers were very, very close to getting their cars facing the wrong direction. Jake Hewlett comes through up and over. He looks like he'll be nice and clean. Maybe not. Didn't look perfectly smooth. And Josh Rogers on a nice edge as well, up and over the jump.
Oh, he lost it.
Guys in this B main looking very close as Hewlett indeed does loop it. Logan Clampett comes through the Joker, and he's going to be fighting with Julian Shine now right here as they come now through this final sector of the racetrack. And Logan Clampett suddenly is in a transfer spot.
That was crazy. Jake Hewlett, and he almost got an impact from Logan Clampett because he was trying to spin around right as Logan Clampett was taking the Joker. So right now, we have got a massive battle on our hands with not that many laps to go. I think we might actually be on the last lap. 3 cars, 1 position.
3 cars all fighting for that last transfer spot. Logan Clampett goes up and over the jump. Car facing the right. Jake Hewlett makes the same mistake. And Julian Shine spins as well. All 3 cars just end up facing the wrong way. Ryan Kuhn, he might be able to slot his way into this feature if no one can get their cars going quickly enough. Joshua Rogers is going to win this consolation race, but who is it going to be coming to the start-finish line? Ryan Kuhn's coming through the final sector, but it's going to be Julian Shine who somehow, some way gets himself transferred into this one. These are short races, but you still have to be clean and consistent to get to the end, as Logan Clampett and Jake Hewlett are going to end another one of these Dirt Night Global Rallycross races in tears. But with that, it's going to take us to our starting grid for our feature race, and let's go down, and the 10 drivers will be seeing battle it out for 10 laps right here, right now. Mitchell De Jong, he's going to be starting on pole with Stilian Chipalevsky in second, Sendre Setsas in third, Renz Broekman fourth, Michael Guest fifth, Graham Bolin sixth, Nathan Lyon 7th, Fabian Monterey in 8th, Joshua Rogers 9th, and Julian Shine will round out the 10-car field for this final event. Ryan Kuhn, Logan Clampett, Jake Hewlett, they're the drivers who will be eliminated in this one before coming into this feature event. Minchel de Jong has won every one of these feature races thus far on our Friday night dirt nights. Can he maintain that perfect running order? It's a very tricky racetrack here at Phoenix, seeing a lot of drivers have trouble as the lights are on and the grid is now no longer set as Minchel de Jong gets a decent jump and Sindre Setsas wants to harass those front runners, and the pandemonium starts early. Chipolewski gets thrown up into the wall from Sindre Setsas, and Chipolewski trying to get back down to the inside. More contact. That Apex car ends up facing the wrong way. That's not the way he wanted this to go, and he's now the last place running car in this heat. BEC car in the background is now around after big contact. Nathan Lyon up and over the jump. He's in the outside wall. So a number of drivers, I'd say about half our grid camp, in major issues here on lap 1.
Yeah, and a completely botched re-entry from Nathan Lyon has also put Joshua Rogers into tears. But yeah, the Mendetre Shabavalski, he's done for the day. I gotta say, this is probably, I don't really know where it all went wrong. I think one of the cars got loose real early. I think that was Shabavalski. And after that, he tried to slot himself in very aggressively. I didn't like that. As I see Nathan Lyon, he's now lost it. I think he's done for the day. So either way, it's been one of those days where we haven't really paid attention to the front runners. The battling's all been in the back, but that was a really rough start.
The front running is close. Mitchell does have a bit of a gap, but Renz Broekman and that third place car of Graham Bolin, those two are close as they now roll off into that into the first corner for the third time. Julian Shine, he started this feature event in 10th and in only 2 laps done has found his way up to the 4th spot simply by surviving. Sindre Setsas somehow, some way is in 5th, and Michael Guest is in that 6th spot. Michael just sort of quietly lurked his way there. We haven't mentioned Michael pretty much all night, and I think he's just done a good job to avoid the pandemonium and get to the end of his heat races, and he's looking to do the same thing here in this feature.
Yeah, and I mean, well, Mitch DeYoung, he's just happy up front as Renz Broekman, he's almost going to run blocker from Graham Bolin. Bolin, he's got to be aggressive here. It's a 10-lap feature. We're on lap 4 of it, and we just got to get going. I would have to say it's going to be Ford versus VW, as I think it's that jump has really been tripping everybody up, as we've seen. And here comes Graham Bolin. He almost had the opportunity to play a little bit of bonkers with the right rear of the VW, and of course he is not going to do that. But it's a really tricky circuit, this Phoenix International Raceway. It's great to run single, but I gotta say, when you start running it side by side, it becomes very, very dangerous.
Yeah, I think a number of drivers in these rallycross cars, Cam, simply too aggressive, because we lost about half of our field here on lap 1. We still have 8 cars technically running, but top 4 are only about 4.5 seconds separated between them. That's good. And then you get another full 4 seconds back to 5th. And then you have Michael Guest a number of seconds back, Josh Rogers, Fabian Monterey. I think a lot of people simply driving over their heads and maybe trying to make up for a little bit of speed they might be lacking on the starts of these races, and that's why we're seeing people really, really struggle to finish these sorts of events. We're over halfway now. Lap number 6 of 10 getting started as Renz Broekman still coming under attack from Graham Bolin as they come through corner number 1 in this first Estes-style section of the racetrack. Both of these drivers have already taken their Joker laps, so it's going to have to be a sort of situation for Graham Bolin. He has to do it the hard way, Cam. Probably going into corner number 1. It's a big move from him. He attempted something there into that final long right-hander here, and he just lost himself a lot of ground simply driving in too hard.
Yeah, I think he just went, well, if it sticks, it sticks, and if it gives him a little bit of a tap and loosens him up a little bit, that'll be all right, I suppose. But or maybe he just overdrove it. It's so easy to actually overdrive that exit that you kind of throw the car. It's a really hard and almost weird dance you have to do between the throttle and the brake, and actually a little bit of time off the throttle, which is very uncharacteristic for a racing car. You always want to be either on or off. But either way, there, Graham Bolin takes the corner much better now. He on his own, Graham Bolin is able to run faster lap times, but when he catches up to that VW, there's just he just doesn't seem to be able to make the maneuver.
not just speed in these cars. You have to be able to make the move, and you have to be able to be clean because these races are so short. Any little mistake is disastrous. Last time through, Graham was slightly quicker than Renz Broekman, so he is reeling him in, but does he have enough time to make a move as Mitchell DeYoung still comfortably out in front? He's the only driver who's still been down in the 35s. The 35.9 for him last time through, a 36.3 for Renz, and a 36.1 for Graham Boland. You still have Julian Shine who's lurking back there with a few tenths off the pace, and so for him, I don't think he's going to really have any hope of picking up a spot unless there's pandemonium out in front in these final 2 laps.
Yeah, and after that extraordinarily, I don't know how to word it, but after the spirited start that we have had here, the field has pretty much been torn asunder, which has kind of made it pretty difficult. I think I just heard somebody's engine go, of all things. Joshua Rogers, yep, the engine has detonated on his Volkswagen Beetle, so they'll have to package that one up and send it back. But either way, it's been a tough day, I'd have to say, here at the Phoenix International Raceway.
White flag is in the air for Mitchell DeYoung as he comes now through this hairpin for the final time. He has a good and large advantage over Renz Broekman through the S's, and then a quick left-hand flick. Need to get the car perfectly set up to go up and over this jump, and he does so very, very calmly, does Mitchell. So very, very nice from him through this final long left-hander here on this racetrack. Right-hander here on the racetrack, and he's just getting that car pointed through the final sector, and Mitchell DeYoung will continue his reign of dominance. He takes another checkered flag here in Friday Night Dirt Night. Renz Broekman's going to come home in second to make it a VRS-Simport 1-2. Graham Boland will hold on to third. Sindre Setsas, he will lurk his way up to the 4th spot. Michael Guest will come home in 5th. And we will only have 5 cars finish on the lead lap in this one. It's Fabian Monterey, Josh Rogers, Julian Shine, Nathan Lyon, and Stilian Chipolewski. They will all finish this one lap down or more. A couple of those drivers didn't even finish that first lap here tonight. Cam, like you said, a very drama-filled and very pandemic-filled final race tonight.
Yeah, that was something. I think we saw some really good, decent battling in the heats. We saw an improbable finish to the B main, but that main really was just torn asunder, which is unfortunate, I have to say. But you know what? That is racing. This isn't something we just get to reset and have everything happen. But I got to say, for what racing we did see, I thought things went fairly well. Phoenix raced all right, and I got to say, well, we'll see if we can get some of the winners in here to have a chat with them.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some people in here. I definitely agree. I think the track was okay. I think there was just a number of people really, just sort of driving over their heads. We saw a lot of sort of silly personal mistakes tonight. Jake Hewlett has continued his train of just unfortunate solo incidents that are no fault other than his own. We saw a couple other drivers, Josh Rogers, he comes to mind, Logan Clampett. Logan Clampett is another one of those drivers who's shown incredible pace in these races, but doesn't seem to have any way, shape, or form of getting his car to the end of one of these feature races. He's always either in a transfer spot in the consolation races and throws it away, or he gets to the feature event and he gets caught up in a big incident. So I think there's a number of these guys who show incredible speed that need a little bit more patience, even for a short sprint race format like that. As we wait for some drivers to now step in, let's actually just kick it off. Cam Walsh, you're going to be stood by with 3rd place finisher tonight, Mr. Graham Boland in that number 10 machine.
Yeah, and we've got Graham Boland, your top finishing Ford. And, well, Graham, I'd have to say that the start to that finale was interesting. But before we get to that, we got to go through the heat and and all that. So just take me through your day here at the Phoenix International Raceway. How did it start?
I was in the 2nd heat, I think, and I started 2nd, and I think Renz got me out of the Joker into the Joker. It was like really tight between us. We were like equal pace kind of, and I would just make a mistake and he would capitalize on it, and we were just really close. And I finished 3rd, and then I got into the feature, and I started, and I don't know where I started, but I started in the back, and I went from like that to 3rd in the first corner because I saw a hole and everybody was crashing except for me.
Well, I mean, that's not bad, a bad deal at all, but you managed to get the car straightened out, worked your way through, and ended up coming home in this 3rd position. Either way, what do you think of the Phoenix circuit compared to all the other tracks that we have available to us?
A lot more dirt. It's way more dirt. It's really different for me, at least, and it takes more driver, in my opinion, to race this track.
Yeah, certainly. There's that very long right-hander at the very end of the racetrack that then has a little bit of a switchback before you even get to the start-finish line. Racing here in a hot lap by yourself, it's fairly straightforward. You know, I think it has a great flow, really enjoyable, but racing side by side, I have to say this is probably the most difficult circuit that we have here. Would you agree with that?
Yes, it's very difficult to pass. Like, the only really passing zone is the dirt, and people can pinch you into the walls, so it's really difficult to pass. Usually it's just one line, so it's really hard to pass.
Yeah, but either way, you came home in the 3rd position, snatched that away, starting in that 6th position in the finale. Only 5.9 seconds behind Mitchell DeYoung, but either way, you know, take it when you can get it. The floor is going to be yours, Graham. Anyone you would like to give a shout-out to or anything before we cut you loose?
Justin Rowden for the paint teams for Nexus, and Nexus Esports for getting these great setup, and Nathan Lyon for the great setup. And good finish for Michael, and I wish Nathan was right behind us too. But I think he got caught up in the first wreck, so that sucks. But thank you guys.
Well, of course, thank you so very much for hopping in the booth with us and getting an interview. We'll see you next week.
All right.
So that's Graham Bolin, your number 10 machine, finishing in the 2nd position, or in 3rd position in your heat, and then finishing in 3rd in the race. So, Randy, straightforward day from the Ford. Gotta say, it's not that hard when everyone wrecks around you, and you manage to make it through.
No, it really isn't, but it's not been so hard for this driver as well, for Mr. Mitchell DeYoung, who definitely picked up the pace once again this week and went back to another perfect night of racing. Mitchell, Phoenix was an interesting one to watch. You were dominant out in front once again all night, quickest in qualifying, super quick in your heat, super quick in the feature. What are some of the unique difficulties of this Phoenix Raceway for you as a rallycross track? Is there anything you can compare it to, even in the real world, of any of the tracks you've raced? And how do you like it compared to the other tracks we have on the sim?
Yeah, no, it's actually a really fun track. You can get a really good flow. In conditions like this that we had in the final, where it's very grippy, there's like patches of grip everywhere, especially in the long right-hander. It's super hard to get right. You know, in the real world, we have some races like Lucas Oil. That one is a bit like that as well. You have some patches of grip everywhere, so you're kind of facing that again. But no, it's a fun track. It's really hard to get right. I almost threw it away in the jump on like lap 4 of the final, and then we had a couple just issues, just kind of underdrive it everywhere so I don't crash like what happened to Jake in the consolation. I think the same thing got him, just a bit of grip there.
Talking about that, I mean, we have several racetracks where the jump basically follows a turn like that. Daytona, you come out of a fast chicane and you're basically directly onto the jump. At IRP, it's a little bit further down the pit lane, so maybe not as much of an issue. But Iowa as well, you come through that final section and then up and over the jump. But it seems most people I've seen from any of the practices and any server I've been in, it seems like Phoenix is the most difficult to get right. What is it with that jump at Phoenix that makes it so much more difficult than all the other jumps on all the other tracks we have?
It's certainly an interesting one because you're forced to carry so much speed on it, and the cars will naturally bottom out when you carry that much speed over it. So, you know, you have to figure out how much you can get away with. You know, qualifying, you just want to basically hit it as fast as you can, but you also will break the car on the landing or bottom out and jump into the barriers on the right. So you need to find that balance of how far you can push it. I think in the final, every few laps, I had some damage there, just landing a bit harsh and bottoming out. Especially in the final, you have a lot more grip leading up to it too, so you tend to carry way more speed. So it's hard to get right for sure. And also on your point for the Joker, it's quite nice actually. You have good ability to race out of it, especially against the person on the normal line. where they tend to kind of slide up the track, and you're set up already wide, you can kind of cut down. So it's a good one for sure. It's better after they changed it after week 13. So no, it's a really good one actually.
So after 5 weeks of racing, we've now officially gone through all of the 5 layouts we have here on the iRacing sim in the Global Rallycross. And Mitchell, I have to ask, 5 weeks down, 5 wins, which of these tracks has been your favorite?
Ooh. I like Iowa a lot. That one's really fun because it's so technical, and you have to have a really good flow as well. I would say that one, Daytona Long, is always great because there's such like a diversity there. Some of the pavement in the dirt, getting it all right is really satisfying. So I'd say between those two, but I think more leaning towards Iowa.
Thanks for joining us once again, Mitchell, after another dominant performance. Before we let you go, any shout-outs? Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to thank the team, of course. Jake especially for helping me test. It's been a bit limited on time this week, so he's been a great help there. Unfortunately, he didn't make the final. Thank all our sponsors, Virtual Racing School, Husingfeld, RaceSpot, and We're in Design, SimQuip, and yeah, everyone for watching.
Thanks again for joining us, Mitchell. Good luck to you and everyone in your stream chat next week.
Hey, thank you.
So, Cam, that's the end of phase number 1 here of Friday Night Dirt Night, and man, oh man, there's a lot of banged up race cars.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. First off, hey, we actually got to speak to one of the race winners. Like, it wasn't, you know, this weird thing where they couldn't we couldn't hear them. So that's hey, we've marked that off. So at least we didn't have any mistakes on our end. But opposite to that, Randy, I gotta say, boy, there was a lot going on at the finale here. They made it to that first little right-hand kink. That's your danger zone. And I think that was Shibowski who ended up finding himself at that outside wall. You're watching the slow motion of that start. And I gotta say, he straightened the car out, immediately slided himself back in, and it created havoc.
Yeah, that it did. The opening of this one was pretty much pandemonium. The most cars I think we've seen get caught up in an incident at the start. We saw, like I said, about half of our grid deleted from the race pretty much once they went through the first half a lap or so and came across the timing beam to begin lap number 2. I think the only cars that were undamaged were those Coanda cars, actually, that ended up finishing 1-2. I think everyone else got involved in something or had to drive around it. But with that, can we now get our eyes set and begin looking towards our next Dirt Night race? That's going to be the World of Outlaw late models at Lanier, the biggest dirt cars on the sim at the smallest dirt track we currently have on the sim. That's going to be a fun one here in a few minutes.
It's going to be a recipe to perhaps repeat what we've seen at the finale here at the GRC race, that's for sure. Let's hope it does well, though. Let's see what the big boys do with that super late model machine. And, well, we'll, of course, be hoping that you'll be staying along with us there, dear viewer.
A flawless drop-in from Cam there is us. Actually, one final point, Cam. We go back to Daytona Long next week, 6 week of racing, and like I said, 5 tracks. We're going to be going through the cycle every 5 weeks and hitting every single track multiple times this season. But back to Daytona Long for the second time. I preferred Daytona Long to Daytona Short in the racing we saw. Daytona Long is, I think, a favorite among a lot of people, and that's going to be an entertaining one to see in 7 days' time.
Yeah, I almost like the short more than I like the long, but I know that the long is a bit of a favorite. And I gotta say, I think the Daytona circuit works fairly well. It's enjoyable, and you know what? It puts on a very good show. And, well, we can only hope that, I think for me the big thing is it's a good racing track. Like here at Phoenix, it's great for driving. You can really wrangle the car around. Side by side, well, Daytona, very good for racing, so I'm going to be excited in 1 week's time. And, well, hopefully you will be there as well.
Yeah, let's hope that everyone joins us in 7 days' time when these Red Bull Global Rallycross cars come back for Friday Night Dirt Night. And I'm still a little on the fence. I think this Phoenix Raceway is pretty well set for racing. I just think we need to see a little bit more patience from everyone, and things should be a lot better. But don't go away here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live, as in just a couple of minutes, we'll be getting the grid set for the World of Outlaw Craftsman late models as they hit Lanier for the first time, and I believe the only time in their season, and that should be an exciting one. Don't go away. Thanks for tuning in.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is dirt racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the dirt revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
gentlemen, may I present to the body Lanier National Speedway. It's the world of Outlaws, Craftsman late model cars. Yes, sir, super late models at Lanier National Speedway. Hello, everybody. Cameron, Walsh, Randy, Chenowth, Hugo, Louis for phase number 2 of the ever-growing in popularity hashtag Dirt Night, of course. Well, we had our cars running at Phoenix. Well, let's see what we can do here at Lanier. 22 cars on the docket. Randy, I gotta say, from what I've been seeing in these cars doing their hot laps right now, it's looking to me like, A, the track might be a little bit more used than we have seen, probably due to the length, only 0.38 of a mile. But I gotta say, it's looking like these guys are racing really well together.
Well, only practice going in thus far, so it's going to be hard to say, is what we just saw at Phoenix. Pandemonium can break out at any point here on Friday night, Dirt Night, but qualifying will be getting its way sorted here and started here in about 1 minute's time. But this Lanier racetrack, I'm super excited about it. I love the shorter track style racing, and maybe it's because we only have a couple of them on the sim right now, but Lanier being the shortest at roughly 3/8 of a mile, it's gonna put on a pretty unique show for these cars.
Yeah, and I think for one, it's looking to me like we're just going to go straight to the feature, which we've done pretty much all season long. No surprises there. So a 22-car feature here at Lanier on a track as short as this? Ho-ho! Well, you want to talk about some pandemonium? Well, perhaps we have the opportunity for it here, but you know what, though? Late models have been a very good cornerstone addition to the Dirt Night broadcast, so we'll see what they can do here. Qualifying will be getting underway very shortly in a few moments' time. Top of the practice boards, however, Virgil Graham, Howard Weaver, Jacob Leverstein, Jacob Fields, James Eden's up in there. Alex Bergeron, he's even in there. He was not very quick at Williams Grove, so we'll see what they can do there. And, well, Randy, qualifying getting underway. Let's see how they roll.
It's going to be an interesting one to see where everyone can find themselves on their starting grids tonight. Good to see Alex showing some improvement from week to week in that #1 machine, so he should have some decent pace out there. Jacob Leverstein, he was super awesome last week, and a lot of big names here around this short Lanier Speedway. And as timing beams are crossed for the first time, let's see who's going to jump up to the top early.
And cars are going to be rolling their times in very shortly. Let's take a look here. Pretty much everybody's run out onto the track, as the first time in is Nathan Hines. That's a 13.8. No surprise. Jacob Leverstein, he's going to take it. Of course, Leverstein very, very quick in his super late model. Probably one of the fastest currently, his #3 machine. We'll see if he stays at the top of the leaderboard. Yes, he does. 13.6. That seems to be the docket.
Yeah, quickest time right now is that 13.617 from Leverstein. Randall Carter, 13.634 in that second spot. Also, another driver hops into the 13.6 is Johnny Rowe. Jacob Fields, he puts down a 13.5, so he immediately jumps up to the top of your scoring sheets.
Yeah, I know. There's another one, Gerald Miller. He has put in a wonderful time in his #13 machine. So I'd have to say that's the fastest time in practice. No, Leverstein did a 5.66 in practice. So, but you know what, though? Practice is practice, and that qualifying time from Jacob Fields, I'm not sure if anyone's going to be able to break that right now. Alex Bergeron, he has put in his times. That's good enough for what will tentatively be 5th position. Austin Selman, he's running around his #2 machine, and we'll see what he can do. He's out on his first lap. This Lanier circuit, these cars, they are really throwing it around. Howard Weaver as well, Randy. You just got to watch how much of an angle that they throw these machines.
You do. Howard was quicker than that 5.77 in practice. First time past the timing beam, he does not get a lap time. What about now? Comes to the end of his second qualifying lap. He jumps to a 5.97, so he gets into the 5s, but a couple of hundredths off of Jacob Fields, and I think that's all the cars that were quicker than Jacob Fields in practice that have already cycled through for their qualifying times, and indeed that is the situation. So unfortunate there that so many drivers not quite getting close as they would like, but Howard Weaver, I think he's going to be happy in that second spot, Cam. Second in the time trials means he's going to start on the pole for his for his heat, and that should make things nice and smooth for him. Should.
How many features?
Should.
How many features could we get? Let's have 3 or 4 features. I'm all right with that. One of these days, we're just gonna have a thing where so it'll be like Ian Planch's race night, where he would just do everything. But that will unfortunately not be tonight. But what fortunately for us, though, super late models are on the way. 2 11-car heats. And let's see, let's take a look at heat numero uno. It is going to be the number 11 car of Jacob Fields. Gerald Miller will be starting his outside. Randall Carter, Austin Semmelman, Chad Ernst, Lucas Chowning, James Edens, Jordan Wesley, Nathan Hines, Kurt Douglas, and Justin Pruitt will be your heat number 1. They'll be starting behind the pacing truck and Randy. I have heard a rumor that it is going to be 2 full pace laps around this circuit, which should go by very quickly with how short this circuit is. Just talk real quick about racing-wise. The only time I have seriously raced here was in a no-joke 40-car feature for Legends machines, and I can assure you, I'm sure this is going to race different.
Well, I'll let you deal with the production trailer, but it's an exciting little racetrack. I love Lanier. I've not done much racing around this place. I actually don't know if I've raced this place at all. I've driven it a lot. I drove it in the Midget when that released just a handful of weeks ago. It's a fun, tight little racetrack, very unique from the roster of tracks we currently have right now, and I think it's going to be an intense night of action here in heat number 1 and really throughout this entire second round of Dirt Night tonight. We saw the sprint cars put on a good show here, and these late models, they've put on the best races for the most part across our Dirt Night. The Global Rallycross race left a lot to be desired, I think, with so many cars being out of it. That means they got some easy shoes to fill. These late models were about to go green in heat number 1.
Now let's see what they can do here. The number 11 machine of Jacob Fields, the number 13 machine of Gerald Miller. I can see Lucas Chowning. He looked really far to the outside, but he had to quickly hobble it back in. One car slightly into the wall. That was that 13 of Gerald Miller. We are green for heat number 1 at Lanier National Speedway.
Jacob Fields gets a big jump here as Randall Carter from 3rd up into 2nd. So it seems that inside road where you want to be in these heat races into quarter number 1 and 2 for the second time now. And the 9 and the 13 fighting really hard as they come down towards the back straightaway. That's Jared Miller trying to work the top side of the racetrack. They're almost going to be 3 wide from Chad Ernst behind.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what happened to Austin Sellman, but he dropped way back. But either way, for Jacob Fields, he's managed to clear Randall Carter right now, so he's going to be happily running in first position. This is an 8-lap heat right now, almost 3 wide coming off Gerald Miller. He is not having a good time right now as the number 4 machine of James Edens. He's looking comfortably in that middle. Chad Ernst, he's going to possibly slide up top. No, he is not. That number 19 machine staying to the bottom side and the high side, Randy, both seem fairly equal right now, and that is going to be good for the racing product.
That it is. It's been an exciting first heat thus far. A lot of side-by-side wheeling to the 19 of Chad Ernst, pulls up alongside Jordan Wesley. The 19 gets a little bit of a help. He's going to end up facing the wrong way. There are a lot of cars at the exit of 3 and 4 caught up in that little gaggle of Chad Ernst. He's going to be trying to get that car facing the right way. We stay green out there on the racetrack. That's a big shuffle in this heat race just from that one little incident.
Yeah, Ernst is going to be out, so he was running fairly well, but his day is going to be done there. Austin Silverman, still not sure whatever happened to him, but he's a lap down, so he is going to be starting way in the back of this feature event. But for Jacob Fields, he's on the final lap right now. He is comfortable right now. He has got a 1-second lead over Randall Carter, and he is going to be very happy in his black and purple number 11 machine as he will pull it across the start-finish line at about 100 miles an hour. Jacob Fields will take heat number 1. Randall Carter will finish in the 2nd position. It's going to go to Kurt Douglas, then Lucas Chowning. It will be James Edens, Justin Pruitt, Gerald Miller, and then Austin Selman, Chad Ernst, and the machine of Nathan Hines. So, heat number 2, getting ready to rock and roll. This one, well, this one's going to be a bit star-studded, Randy. It's Howard Weaver, Jacob Leverstein starting 1st and 2nd, and Alex Bergeron starting 3rd. Tommy Rowe, Virgil Graham, Adam Elby, Joe Lottarello, Corey Ward, Josh Phillips, Philip Diaz, and Michael Whitlock, as well as Michael Whitlock, he's going to round out the field. But yeah, Randy, those starting 3 cars, that is going to be something.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Really, the one I'm keeping an eye on is Bergeron. Weaver and Leverstein, they're both sort of known products in these late models. They've come out, they've run strong, and they've run up at the front in these broadcasted races on Friday nights. Alex, we saw him for the first time just a week or two ago, and he really wasn't up the form that we're typically seeing that #1 machine in the sprint cars, whether it's the 305s, 360s, or 410s. Alex is always a force to be reckoned with and up near the front of the field in those machines. Now, maybe he's just had a bit more time to practice, maybe a little bit more on pace. His qualifying was a little bit more what you might expect, and starting third in this heat, it means he will be up and amongst those guys up near the front of the field. Let's see if he can maintain that little bit of momentum, and hopefully that bit of talent with Howard Weaver. He's going to roll over and apparently give Jacob Leverstein a little bit of a kiss there. I think that's what that was, but a little bit of a nudge there coming from the 7 to the 3.
Yeah, no, that is just about what that is. So, all right, well, let's see if this is a high five or some bad blood. I'm not sure because I really don't know. Let's find out. But either way, when will Howard Weaver drop the hammer? As Leverstein, he is looking to perhaps pitch to the inside. He's given him plenty of room, however, so that's good to see. Well, they're crowding each other a little bit. Lights are out on the iRacing official pace truck here at Lanier International Speedway. World of Outlaws Craftsman late model cars, the super late modified heat numero 12. It's the second one. Howard Weaver hit #7, Jacob Leverstein #3. Howard Weaver drops the hammer, and he's got the whole shot, as well as Alex Bergeron. Bergeron's jumped himself up into the second position, but Jacob Leverstein, he's got the inside.
Howard Weaver had the whole shot, and that #3 machine is like he was put into a hole, just all the way, immediately dropped down to that third spot as Alex Bergeron immediately pounces, takes that second spot. Virgil Graham, he's slotted himself in fourth, with Adam Elby rounding out your top 5. Then it's the likes of Tommy Rowe, Josh Phillips, and Joe Letterello. Letterello and Phillips, they're the first side-by-side battle in this field as they're door-to-door, beating and banging through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and Howard Weaver, he's comfortably up front. There goes Leverstein. He uses basically the rear of his machine to kind of push Alex Bergeron. Bergeron now has Virgil Graham. Graham on the inside. Adam Elby, he's looking on. He wants them to continue this contact so he can push himself a little bit further. Track, meanwhile, is wearing in and wearing in quickly. I think this might be in the running for one of the most worn tracks we will race on this season due to how short it is. And Randy, I think that's going to be a very good thing. These cars get fast and loose when the track starts going away, and it produces great results. Alex Bergeron, that #1 machine, still fighting against the #3 of Jacob Leverstein.
Since picking up that second spot, Leverstein's made no ground really on Howard Weaver. Howard's been stretching that gap more and more and more as Bergeron remains latched onto that rear bumper, and he turns into the left side panel of Jacob Leverstein when they get into the corners. So the #1 machine definitely has stepped up his game this week in the late models, fighting hard with that driver as they roll through 1 and 2 here. Going to be 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks in the air as Virgil Graham trying to reel those 2 in front of him in as well. But Howard Weaver taking the white right now. Cam, I think he's set to win heat race #2.
Yeah, Howard Weaver is really hanging his machine out. It never really straightens out. The rear is always in motion, and I think that's what Howard Weaver has been able to do with this heat. He got the whole shot, he kept it, and he is happily going to win heat #1. And it'll be the car of Jacob Leverstein. Alex Bergeron will finish third. Virgil Graham, Adam Elby, Tommy Rowe, Corey Ward, Joe Letterello, Philip Diaz, Josh Phillips, and Michael Whitlock. And, hey, actually, Randy, we're going to have a consolation race. Looks to me like the top 4 are going to be going according to the numbers in front of my face. Consolation time, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely nice that we get a B main in these machines. It's the way the splitting works, like we've said. You typically just jump straight to the feature in these cars. That's what you've seen the last few weeks. Always nice to get a nice little consolation race in. 10 laps, top 4 transfer, and it's going to be interesting to watch these guys who are down around the tail end of their heat races, seeing if those guys can get themselves transferred into this feature.
Yeah, an interesting thing I've noticed is just talking about that last heat is Alex Bergeron seems to have found some speed in his late model machine. Normally we watch him in wing sprint cars. He seems to be doing fairly well. And also of note, Austin Semmelman. He found himself back onto the surface, seems to have fixed whatever was going on with his machine. So, well, he's got an opportunity now after having that abysmal start in heat #1 to make it to the A main. So, taking a look at it, Gerald Miller's going to lead us off. Joe Letterello is going to be his outside. Austin Selman, Philip Diaz, Chad Ernst, Josh Phillips, Nathan Hines and then Michael Whitlock. And Nathan Hines and Michael Whitlock are not on the track, so it is going to be a 6-car heat instead of an 8-car heat. Randy, pretty excited about this one.
That'd be a little bit of a worst case scenario if those drivers didn't think there was going to be a B main and just got up to use the bathroom and get some water or something. That would be a really, really big mistake for those drivers for sure. But field is set, running 6 cars, only 4 will transfer. So our little bit of a B main turns into a little bit more of a trophy dash, and this is going to be an interesting one. Maybe we should have had a pill draw and inversion, but it's going to be an exciting one to see which of these two are not going to be the ones to transfer into the feature.
Yeah, I'm all right with it. As long as we don't get an incident right off the bat, that would ruin it for me. But iRacing official pace truck looks to move to the safety of pit lane. Gerald Miller will put the throttle down, and Austin Sullivan, he is already going to be on the move. We are green for the consolation race, last chance qualifier here at Lanier.
Austin Sullivan picks up the 2nd spot, and he wants that race lead right here, right now, working now down through the bottom of the racetrack, not quite able to get Gerald Miller there, lost a little bit of speed, maybe a little bit too down low on the racetrack. Also fighting between Chad Ernst and Philip Diaz. Diaz actually gets shuffled out, drops to the 5th spot, and that pushes him outside of a transfer position. So right now, the 2 INEX cars coming into this B main cam, Letterello and Diaz, they had a good chance of at least one of them transferring. Right now, neither of them running a transfer spot.
And Semmelman is there, so perhaps reclaiming the machine from what woes he had in the first heat, as we are already 4 laps into this 10-lap feature. It's going to be halfway next time by, and Miller, well, he's got a number 2 machine of Austin Semmelman, and he is going to be hounding him here. Do they want to risk it for the fight for the win in the last chance qualifier? Looks to me like it's going to be a yes. Austin Sullivan's machine doesn't really seem to have much angle of attack, whereas the machine of Gerald Miller really seems to be hanging the rear out. Perhaps that's the difference. Chad Ernst is right now fighting with Josh Philip Diaz. He is the odd man out. He is really throwing that car to the high side of the bumper.
A lot of close, hard fighting up and down this field. Austin and Gerald, they're having a whale of battle right now as Ernst and Phillips, they're still fighting it out as well. Josh Phillip, he wants that pressure of Phil Diaz taking off of him, so he wants to get that 3rd spot if he can. And Chad Ernst, he wants to keep that little bit of a buffer between himself and Diaz and that 5th place runner, of course, Letterello as well. Diaz going to try to muscle his way to the inside of Josh Phillips. They're door to door into 1 and 2. Will Diaz have some way somehow to get himself into that transfer spot? Side by side in the 3 and 4, coming up on just a couple laps to go.
Barely a tap between the left front and the right door of Philip Diaz. A little bit more contact as Diaz has worked his way through. Who's that that's going off? Gerald Miller. He was your leader of the race, and now he's all the way in the back. He's only got 2 laps to go, and he's got 2 positions to make up. What happened there? Austin Silverman, he is completely by himself. He is going to be looking to take the victory here. We are on the final lap. It's going to be Chad Ernst, followed by Philip Diaz, Josh Phillips. And on the outside of Josh Phillips, it looks like it might be Jared Miller. Miller, he doesn't look like he's going to have an opportunity to do this. And Austin Silverman, he is going to take the victory. 1 car is hard in the wall. Chad Ernst will finish in 2nd position. Philip Diaz, and then Josh Phillips. And Gerald Miller, poor old Gerald Miller, that is going to be it for his night. What on earth happened there?
There was a little bit of contact between himself and Austin Selman as they came down the front straightaway to take the 2 to go. Austin pushed up the racetrack just a little bit, and he just barely hooked that 13 machine. And when these cars are as sideways as they are, it doesn't take very much to get them a little bit out of whack. And it's in that fade of the corner as well, where you're trying to straighten the car up onto the straightaway. And as Gerald was doing that, he just got that little bit of a tap from the 2 behind that upset the car, and he basically just overcorrected and unfortunately came to pretty much a stop on the top side of the racetrack. And that's unfortunate for the 13 machine to go from leading 100% transferring to on the outside looking in and probably ranting about Austin in your VoIP server of choice.
Well, you can see the results on your screen of the race results for the last chance qualifier. Of course, they get tapped onto the end field. 18 cars taking the field here at Lanier National Speedway. We had issues finding space with 6. We had issues finding space with 10. As the fireworks kick off, let's get this thing rolling. Let's take a look at the starting grid for the World of Outlaws Craftsman late model cars here at Lanier National Speedway. it is going to be Jacob Fields. He's going to be starting. Howard Weaver, it will be his outside. Randall Carter and Jacob Leverstein, your second row. Jordan Wesley, Alex Bergeron, 5th and 6th positions. Kurt Douglas is going to start in 7th. Virgil Graham in 8th. Lucas Chowning in 9th. Adam Elvey, James Edens, Tommy Rowe, Justin Pruitt, Corey Ward, Austin Sullivan, well, he's starting 15th. Chad Ernst, Philip Diaz, Josh Phillips rounds out this 18-car field. Thank you so very much for watching so far, and don't forget, we have got the 410 wing sprint cars coming up in just a bit, but we've got a duel to tango here, 40 laps at Lanier National Speedway. A big old feature here for you today. The iRacing car pulls to the safety of pit lane. It's the World of Outlaws Craftsman late model cars coming to you here at Lanier.
Jacob Fields down along the bottom, gets a decent start, but Howard Weaver is fighting up on the top side. They're 2 by 2 by 2 amongst your top 6 as they roll off into 3 and 4. Tightly contested field of the 10 machine. A little bit there in the background. He's going to take that 3rd spot. That was Randall Carter as Howard Weaver not quite getting the top side right through 1 and 2, but he gets a good run onto the back straightaway. Still harassing the 11 of Jacob Fields, who has not been able to run a single car line thus yet. He finally gets himself clear of Howard Weaver. Leverstein, very physical, throwing it on Randall Carter for 3rd.
Yeah, Leverstein got really muscled back there, and he got a couple of nudges from Jordan Wesley. That has lit a fire underneath that 3 machine. He has forced his way past Randall Carter. He's not going to be happy with that one. He's working to push back. Leader has not broken away. 1 car is already in the pit lane. Justin Pruitt, his night is done as Jacob Fields right now. That number 11 machine, he does not seem to be breaking away from Howard Weaver lap times. Well, it's a little bit in Fields' favor, but it is not going to be there as we've still got good battling all around this Lanier circuit.
What happens when you come to a tight little racetrack like here at Lanier? You get close fighting up and down the field. Alex Bergeron in the 1. He was fighting with the 9 of Jordan Wesley for the moment, but I think the 1 made a little bit of a mistake on the back straightaway on that lap because he dropped a couple of spots, went from 5th to 7th, and he's just about reeling in. The 9 machine of Jordan Wesley wants to get here, but he still has company from behind. As they're 2 by 2 behind that 4 machine, in fact, and now as they say that, Bergeron is going to fight, trying to get that 6th spot back from Jordan Wesley. Works the bottom. That 1 machine really hooked up down there.
Yeah, he is really trying to hustle that thing, and you can almost start seeing the dust. It's getting to the point where we've had a long enough green flag run that dust is starting to accumulate in the corners, and when these guys are going into the corners, there is going to be an element of trying to see through that dust. Right now, Bergeron, he doesn't have anyone directly in front of him. He's got Wesley behind, Edens behind. These 2 guys are fighting for position, so of course I think Bergeron's going to be able to pull away. But we've got 2 definitive packs right now. It's Fields, Weaver, Leverstein, Carter, and Graham, and then you've got Bergeron and the rest of the field. And I gotta wonder, perhaps, Randy, are we going to see, as we're 10 laps in here, perhaps lap traffic?
I think it's definitely an option right now. Right now, Tommy Rowe, he's just rolling into 1 and 2, where your race leader, Jacob Fields, just turning into 1 and 2 as well. So it's only about a 5 or so second gap between that last place running car and your race leader. So I definitely think 100% lap traffic will be a contender here in this one and really affect the outcome as we're finally seeing a bit of a breakaway from the 11 of Jacob Fields. But the fight for 4th between Weaver, Leverstein, Carter, and Graham still very, very tightly contested.
Yeah, as here comes the fight for 2nd position. Leverstein, he threw it as hard as he could into the corner. He actually rolled the front off of the pit wall, but nothing in it, as the track is now becoming enveloped in dust, and boy, is that a good thing. As Howard Weaver, he's looking to fight for that 2nd position right now. He's trying to cover, find the grip, and the track is falling apart very quickly, and that is going to really help this show get underway here. We're seeing a lot of off-throttle, on-throttle playing. You can see a lot of maneuvering in the wheels here. Lap times, though, are staying constant, 13.9 for Jacob Fields. And we have a yellow out on the racetrack.
Yellow out there on the racetrack. Not sure who
22?
This is for.
No.
22 car?
Yeah, actually,
he's
might
got
be.
damage.
I didn't see anyone else stopped on the race circuit. If they threw a caution for that, I'm going to be very surprised. I think maybe because his car was for a moment's time facing what could be considered the wrong way. That is going to be an odd one. Somebody slipped on that caution light, and I'm not going to be happy with that because we were looking like, Randy, we were having a good run. I mean, 16 laps in, and I was going to say we were getting really shaping up to have a very good run here.
Hey, we're still having a good run. We're just resetting the field just a little bit, and this racetrack sort of changed since it started. 17 laps of action for these cars is really going to slicken up this racing surface, and it's going to be interesting to see these. We know that these top 5 are very, very close in terms of speed. It's going to be interesting to see how they look and how they run with this racetrack slightly slickened off now that they're going to be somewhat stacked up. And they come now down the front straightaway towards 1 and 2, lights and off on the iRacing official pace truck. We are green in 3/8 of a mile time.
Yeah, and I gotta say, for the racing that we saw, it was very good. Where will the cars position themselves? I see a couple of cars in the back leaning a little bit down. When will the iRacing truck pull off? In just a few moments' time. Will there be a Mississippi count? No, there will not. Jacob Fields, he's almost got the whole punch. I don't think he's got it. Howard Weaver was able to force that 11 car down just enough, as there's a little bit of rough and tumble pushing with Virgil Graham and James Edens as they're going 3 wide into corner numbers 3 and 4 as we're green once again here at Lanier.
They were 3 by 3 into 3 and 4. Another 5 wide as they pitch it into 1 and 2. I don't know. I can't name off all those cars, but 5 wide in your mid-pack as they run through 1 and 2. Very tightly contested racing here in your World of Outlaw Craftsman Late Model Series through 3 and 4. Everyone jockeying for position on this slickened up Lanier racetrack and still fighting 2, 3, momentarily 4 wide as well in that mid-pack cam.
Yeah, yeehaw, this thing is rolling, and in front of that 5 wide, there were 3 wide fighting for third. As here comes Alex Bergeron, he's almost trying to throw the weight of that super late model into the door of Randall Carter, but Carter was having none of it. He fought back as Leverstein, he almost had Howard Weaver. He almost had him by a nose going in one of the corners, but Weaver powered his way on the outside. So great green flag running here. Well, let's see if we can pick up where we left off. Dust is starting to accumulate once again. Of course, I absolutely love that because it really just goes to show you got to have a lot of faith here. Leverstein, he's taking a bite out of that number 7 machine of Howard Weaver, as it looks to me like everyone is staying together this time. No separate packs.
I think that track has sort of gone away from the 7 machine. He liked running down low, but it's really slickened off for him. You see everyone pretty much moving to the top. 3 and Jacob Leverstein's going to make the move up there. A matter of fact, is Howard Weaver down on the bottom. It's not going to work down there, but you need to get to the top side. Now he goes to the top. Once the 3 took away that second spot, Randall Carter, he's not going to be happy about that. He wanted to pick up a spot as well, but Howard really trying to wheel it out there, has to find that speed that he had earlier on in this one, which seems to have gone away from him here now that we're into the second half.
Jacob Fields has nobody around him, and he's running 14.2s. If that tells you something about what is happening with this race circuit, they were qualifying in 13.5s. They're almost a second slower. That was a 14 flat, so we're still half a second off. That is how this track has gone. And, Jacob Leverstein, he is actually really closing in here, I think. We've got another caution out on the racetrack, and I'm not sure what this one's for either.
I think it's going to be another similar situation. It's a 22 again, actually, of Kurt Douglas. Yep. He's brought that car down on the... Oh, no, this one, he actually ended up stopped this time. Yeah, he got some... he actually got a bit of damage, I think, and he got the sort of the access road on the exit of 3 and 4, kind of clipped it with that right rear, and if the car wasn't broken then, as it turns out, T-boning a wall is not good for your alignment.
It's not. I think the 21 machine really pancaked right into that left front wheel, and I think that gave him pretty terminal steering damage. And then, they decided to ride off the car by hitting that tire barrier. So, the number 22, Kurt Douglas, his night is going to be done after starting from 7th position. But either way, so we're going to have a 10-lap shootout here. We're basically going to have what was our B main. We're just going to play it again. Actually, I think we probably will start with 31 laps marked, which means we will have a 9-lap dash for the proverbial cash here on iRacing Live. RaceSpot TV, of course. It has been a good one, I have to say. Why don't we tack on another 100 laps to this one, Randy, because my goodness, this thing has been a
We got
good
sprint
time.
cars, we can't do that.
We can't. They wouldn't be happy, but I would be all right with it, because then we could just run the sprint cars afterwards. iRacing pace track, he pulls off Jacob Fields. He lets the hammer down. Jacob Leverstein, he's starting outside. Howard Weaver, he's starting inside. Let's go green one more time here at Lanier.
Well done by Jacob Fields. He gets himself clear of Leverstein and gets to the top side of the racetrack very, very quickly. That 3 was really hooked up there. The 7 of Howard Weaver still trying to run to the bottom. Finally gets comfortably clear, and he runs immediately to the top side of the racetrack. But that 3 of Leverstein, he was quicker than Jacob Fields in those last handful of laps before the caution, and he is now lurking just behind the 11 like a shadow, not letting Jacob get away at all as we're approaching 5 to go.
I almost worry if perhaps he knows that Fields, given time, will pull away, and if the only option he is going to have is to use the fiberglass front bumper, that number 3 super late model, to push Jacob Fields a bit. Let's see what they do, though. I imagine they're going to race clean. No matter what, they're going to race clean, but I will say clean racing in late models does involve contact, if you believe it or not. But Howard Weaver, he looks to cover from Alex Bergeron. Bergeron has been having a wonderful night here at Lanier as James Eden's watching along. Austin Sebelman, he's recovered fairly well. He's running in 7th position right now, and here comes Leverstein.
Big move on the inside for Leverstein. That may have been the one opportunity he was going to get, and it did not work as they roll off through 1 and 2. Lap number 37 of 40 currently being run. Alex Bergeron, he's wheel to wheel with Howard Weaver for 3rd as well. So the fight is on for the top 4 positions. 5th place, still just quietly lurking, is James Eden as they're fanning out 3 wide behind him. But we still have to keep an eye on this lead fight as the 3 of Leverstein is still strong. 2 to go once they come off 3 and 4.
Yeah, and there might actually be some lap traffic. Corey Ward is there, but I'm not sure if they're going to catch him. 2 to go here. Jacob Fields versus Jacob Leverstein. It's the battle of the Jacobs at Lanier. As right now, that number 11 machine, he has been staying very strong in the fight. That 3 machine has been putting on massive amounts of pressure. We've got 1 to go here at the Lanier National Speedway, and Jacob Fields, he has been trying to cover, and here comes the slider. He lets him go. He knew that was coming. He saw that coming, a quick drag, and Jacob Fields will take the victory here at the Lanier National Speedway. Jacob Leverstein, well, he is he threw it, but he knew that was coming.
That was wonderful driving from the 11. You see those drivers, they give themselves a little bit of a congratulatory tap from Leverstein. Leverstein had that race lead for all of about 7 car lengths, and then the 11, as you said, just saw that move coming. He sort of checked up before he even got to the corner to be able to drive back down to the bottom of the racetrack and made a fantastic move of it. Well done by the 11 of Jacob Fields to be so picture perfect tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. No serious challenge, I'd have to say, except for Jacob Leverstein, and he was able to mitigate that one. Let's take a look at the official race results here for the World of Outlaws Craftsman late model cars. Super late models, 40 laps are racing, and boy, was it a good one. Jacob Fields, after 40 laps, will take the victory. 10 minutes and 41 seconds. Jacob Leverstein, oh so close. He'll come home second. Howard Weaver will finish in the 3rd position. Alex Bergeron, he will finish in 4th. James Edens in 5th. Austin Selman from the 15th position up to 6th. Not a bad night for him. Randall Carter, he'll finish in 7th. Adam Elvey in 8th. Virgil Graham in 9th. Philip Diaz will finish in 10th after starting in 17th. The car of Jordan Wesley will finish in the 11th position. Chad Ernst in 12th. Josh Phillips, 13th. Lucas Chowning in 14th. Corey Ward in the 15th position. Tommy Rowe, Kurt Douglas, and Justin Pruitt will round out this 18-car field. Randy, I gotta say, that was a good one, and I'd almost say it's no surprises here. The late models once again deliver at a short track.
Yeah, they delivered once again. It's one of the big talking points of this Friday night dirt night, isn't it? Thus far, it's been going back and forth between the best race of the night between these late models and those Red Bull Global Rallycross cars. It's some nights the Rallycross cars are the race of the evening. Some nights have been these late models. These sprint car guys, man, they got to get it together. They got to have a really awesome night of racing at some point. Hopefully they can do it tonight. But they have big shoes to fill after this one.
Yeah, and honestly, they pretty much saved the night, these late model machines, because that GRC race, it was certainly a pill to swallow. But just due to how the start of the finale ended out. But either way, we've got Alex Bergeron here. Let's see him. He is the one that finished in 4th position. We'll see if we can get anyone else. So in the meantime, we'll talk to the #1 machine of Alex Bergeron. Alex, well, you started in 6th. You finished in 4th, but there was a 40-lap race in between here at this Lanier National Speedway circuit. It seemed to me like cars were really having a lot of fun out there, and the racing was quick, it was slick, and I have to say it was some pretty fair racing.
Oh yeah, indeed. That was a lot of fun with my teammate Howard. I tried to pass him, but you know, it's very tough to pass here. So I tried to do my best, and I just like last week, I decided to run like without practicing. So I'll take 4th place.
Yeah, and of course, 18 car field. I gotta say, I mean, the track sort of worked itself in. At one point, it was really starting to fill with dust when the entire field sort of got separated at the start, but that yellow dragged everybody back together. Yeah, just kind of take me through this racing here at this Lanier National Speedway circuit. It just seems like it's intentionally tough. It's a very short track, 0.38 of a mile. Just trying to get around cars. You were saying that it's difficult to pass, but you know what? I gotta say, that put on a great show.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I mean, late models always putting on a good show. I mean, we sometimes door banging each other, and I mean it's fun. But I think it's good racing in my opinion. And you know, the track started to be like since I don't know, like the new build, I don't know what's going on. But it's pretty cool with the track starting very tacky and growing up into a very slick track, like pretty much like real life. So it's very cool to see that. And like you said, the dust and stuff, but that's like at the end, it's just the track is slick, and we gotta work on a throttle control and trying to don't make some stupid moves and make ourselves in a bad put ourselves in a bad position for the end of the race. And you know, I think at the end I had a good drag race to the line with, I think, James Eden, I don't know, but that was very cool. So late models are always very fun to race and to watch, that's for sure.
Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or thanks before we let you go?
Oh yeah, as usual, you guys for broadcasting, on my sponsor, Mirror Inc. and the Drill Spill, and we'll see you in the sprint car race.
Yes, we will, and we have got Howard Weaver. So, Alex, thank you so very much. We'll see you at Volusia in just a few moments' time, but let us grab Howard Weaver, and Randy Chenowth is going to be standing by with Mr. Howard Weaver.
Yeah, I'm stood by with my tomato-hating friend here of Howard Weaver. Howard, interesting night here at Lanier, as the echo is pretty insane. But Howard, an amazing night of racing night here at Lanier. This track really put on a good show.
Yeah, it did. Let me change, because I just got a new computer and I gotta change my push-to-talk thing. But yeah, it was a good race. I just wanted to get this race over with because I'm not a big fan of Lanier.
Here, we'll let you get your button sorted. We'll hop to Jacob.
Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. It's nice when the drivers show up. Oh, actually, he's all right according to the trailer. But either way, Jacob Leverstein, let's get him in here because I'm sure Howard's going to want to set it up. But Jacob Leverstein, well, you are going to be standing by Randy Chenowth.
I'm stood by with Jacob now as Howard is getting his controls set up after getting the new PC. Jacob, you came on really, really strong at the end of that race. How was it in that number 3 machine reeling in the 11 like that? I think you were quicker, but the racetrack very hard to pass at.
Yeah, Lanier's always been really hard to pass on. I really did notice my car really started working there at the end. I was super fast. I could, you know, really reel him in super fast, and I kept making mistakes going into the corner, and I would reel him back in, and it's so hard to make a pass on that track. You just got to wait for him to either make a mistake or throw, you know, a bomb slider like I did.
And I think Jacob Fields, I think he saw that slider coming because he countered beautifully, drove it back down to the bottom, and still took that race winner. The fantastic move by you, though. You had to try something, and you did it clean. But talking about this Lanier racetrack, it's the only time this season we're coming to it. Handful of other racetracks getting driven 2 or 3 times. And is that a good thing in your opinion? Do you prefer the racing here at Lanier to some of the other racetracks, or are you happy to see Lanier just not on the schedule a lot?
You know, when we first came here a while back, when this track first came out, I didn't really like it too much. I wasn't that fast here or anything, but just this week I was really able to you know, work on my setup and get really fast, and you know, just practice, and you know, I really like the racing here. Honestly, it's hard to pass, but you know, it makes you think, and it makes you, you know, really race hard, and it's a driver's track.
Well, thanks for joining us, Jacob. Congratulations on a good, strong run tonight, and thanks for putting on such a show. These late models, in part because of you, have been some of the best cars of these Friday night dirt nights thus far. They've probably been, on average, the best race that we've had of the night. But before we let you go, any shout-outs, who would you like to thank from that number 3 machine tonight?
I'd like to thank Fox Sound Graphics and you guys up in the booth for doing a good job, and that's it.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, Jacob. Good luck next week.
All right, thank you guys.
Back over to you, Cam.
So that is Jacob Leverstein, of course, finishing at .150 behind your race winner, Jacob Fields. We don't have our race winner, but we do have Howard Weaver with hopefully the correct buttons. And Randy, well, you started the interview with him. Well, why don't you just pick up while you left off, I suppose.
I'll round it out then. So, Howard, it was an interesting night of racing tonight. You started strong, finished one spot back from where you started, dropping back to 3rd. You seemed to really like the bottom of the racetrack, even though it went away about the midway point. You just didn't like the way the top felt, or what was that about?
Well, I was surprised to start 2nd anyway, so that was a surprise right off. And then I always like running the bottom if there is one. I was trying to run it, but yeah, I don't know, my setup did not work at all up top, but even finishing 3rd was better than I expected here. But yeah, I went down there towards the end to let Jacob by because I could tell he was a lot faster, and I figured maybe he would wreck Jacob Fields on the last lap and I'd get a cheap win that way. So sometimes it works.
Maybe unfortunately he tried. he really threw a big one in on the last lap, but it didn't really pan out. Unfortunately, Jacob Fields saw it coming. But you're talking about this linear racetrack, Howard. We've seen you be so strong. We've seen you in the sprint cars. We've seen you in the late models. You are one of the most consistent drivers in terms of being up in the field in both of the machines. We've seen you in the sprint cars around this little tight linear track. How are the late models different in terms of how you have to drive them and how you race?
Well, I think this track is more designed for the sprint cars. The late models, they don't run up by the outside wall like you can in the sprint cars. So it kind of makes passing harder because there's not really 2 distinct lines in the late models like it spreads out kind of in the sprint cars. So here you kind of got to beat and bang your way to pass if you're going to make up much ground, and that's one of the reasons I really don't like this track too much in the late models, because it is so hard to pass and everyone's pretty much the same speed. So it's kind of more challenging in the late models just to make up ground if you have a bad qualifying time or something. So but yeah, it's a lot better track, I think, in the sprint cars. It's still a good race tonight, but yeah, you don't really see a lot of battling here in the late models and people going up to the very top like they do in sprints.
Well, thanks for joining us, Howard. Shout outs to the TeamSpeak automated voice. But before we let you go, Howard, are we going to see you in the sprints? And any shout outs, who would you like to thank?
I won't be in the sprints. Probably retiring from them because you guys are doing the late models now and I keep getting wrecked on them. So I just want to shout out you guys, RaceSpot, for doing it, and iRacing, and Team VLR, and Heinz Ketchup. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm eating Subway right now.
Wow, all sorts of things. Good.
I'm always eating. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Howard. Cam, I think that's going to wrap it up for this one, as we got sprint cars to commentate.
We do. The engines are warming up for the 410 wing sprint cars, so we have got a commercial break right up ahead. This has been a sensational race, and I personally want to thank a particular German Pilsner. But either way, we have got wing sprint cars on the way, and hopefully these guys will put on a good show. Well, let's see how they do. Will they do better than the GRCs, or will they do better than the late models? Well, we'll have to find out. Stay tuned. It's Sports and Wing Sprint Cars at Volusia.
actually, you know, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, you know, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, three wide action on a turn two. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Kieran Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, you know, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the cars. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, you know, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And, you know, early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
You wanted the best, you got them four abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Come all, it's the World of Outlaws sprint cars here at Volusia Speedway Park. Barberville, Florida once again hosts yet another chapter in the iRacing World of Outlaws series. Hello everybody, once again, Cameron Walsh, Randy Chenowth, and Hugo the way back Here for the final leg of the hashtag Dirt Night. It is growing ever more popular, courtesy of you fans out there. We are so appreciative of you taking the time out of your Friday night. Of course, stay safe out there in the Northeast and pretty much the entire Eastern Seaboard. We're getting absolutely slaughtered with a storm right now, but, well, if you're here with us, that means you're not out there driving on the road, so hey, we consider that a win-win. But either way, qualifying times are coming in, and no surprise, it's Bob King at the top of the boards, Randy.
Yeah, Bob's he's really picked up the pace for himself, gotten a lot of momentum the last handful of weeks, and to see him at the top of the timing sheets would have been a surprise a while back, but not so much anymore. Austin Selman, though, he's looking strong in the 4th spot. You have Nick Cooper and Lewis Hewitt as well, sandwiching between those two, and then from that is, you know, pretty much the usual names. You got Bergeron, Berkeley, Graham Boland's in this one. Vinny Sansone, he's an interesting name. He's going to be starting at the tail end of Heat 2, but he's one I really do have my eye on, as Heat 1 is setting the grid right now.
Yeah, setting the grid indeed. Well, you know, a number 11 machine won at at Lanier at the World of Outlaws late model series. Maybe a number 11 car will win in the sprints. But Bob King, either way, he is going to be starting heat number 1. It's going to be Lewis Hewitt. His outside, Alex Bergeron, will be starting from 3rd, Zach McLaughlin, Steven Renaud, Joe Quinn, Blake Derflinger, and then Josh Phillips will find himself in a 410 wing sprint car. So either way, all perched right behind that iRacing official pace truck. Now, let's take a look at the Volusia Speedway Park circuit. Half mile, 4 turns. It's a bull more than a paperclip. But Randy, we have to talk about the Volusia Speedway curse. For whatever reason, throughout whatever cosmos, apparently the iRacing version of Volusia has angered some god somewhere, because something wrong always seems to happen here, and let's see if we can avoid that here tonight.
Yeah, some god somewhere, maybe better known as the driver, is not being patient enough. But yeah, it is just one of those situations we never
finish line.
Yeah, we never really get the good races in here at Volusia, and we've been wanting to see an awesome sprint car race out of these guys this season. We've been wanting to come away from one of these Friday night dirt nights, being able to say these winged 410 sprint cars, they were the race of the evening. We haven't been able to do that just yet. We're now 5 weeks into this thing. Hopefully, maybe that these winged sprint cars can take that crown away from the Red Bull Global Rallycross cars or their late model brethren. But everyone's now set on the grid here for heat number 1, and everyone is likely a little bit anxious about this one because, like you said, Cam, I think the reputation Volusia has is pretty much well known throughout.
Yeah, pace truck pulling away. We are under the lights once again, which means that we actually go from night race to night race. Shocking. Either way, let's see where Bob King goes. He typically gives it a 1 Mississippi, maybe a 1.5 Mississippi. Count as far as when he will punch the right throttle all the way down and spool up that 900 horsepower, 700 foot-pound of torque machine that he is driving. Alex Bergeron, he's excited and ready to go in that number 1 machine. Bob King, he is going to be sitting comfortably back a little bit of a space. We don't have Tim Ryan here tonight, which means, of course, that the iRacing official pace truck will at least be able to keep communication range if they had satellites between the sprint car and the pace truck. So, well, I mean, that's a positive. But Bob King in that number 11 machine will be able to carry the number 11 to victory. So I perhaps a little partial to the number 11 because, of course, my driver, of course, is slightly unpopular right now, but good old Denny Hamlin. But we'll see what they can do with that. As Bob King, he's ready to spool up. Pace truck ready to pull in. We are ready to go racing under the lights here at Volusia Speedway Park, home of the Dirt Car Nationals. And the cars are hanging the top side. Bob King, he doesn't even wait. He doesn't wait for the pace truck. He almost clips the pace truck as we are green for heat number 1 here at Volusia Speedway Park.
A little bit early there by Bob King, and he's going to, luckily for him, maintain the race lead. Lewis Hewitt, he's going to hold on to that second spot along the outside of the racetrack. First side-by-side, and actually it's no longer side-by-side because he is around. That was Blake Derflinger in the background. He got turn 3 and 4 wrong. That's going to end his heat race as fight for the race lead. 3 cars all under a blanket. Bob King, Lewis Hewitt, Alex Bergeron, 3 of the big names in sprint car racing on the iRacing service right now.
I think I just saw the pace truck driver give Bob King a very angry arm wave But either way, King's holding it right now. Lewis Hewitt, they are just getting up to speed right now, feeling the track. Track only has slight usage, so unlike these late model cars, it's going to take a while for this track to really come in, so they better get used to this track surface. It's going to be grippy. The wings are pretty much set, I would presume, all the way to the back as far as that rocker is concerned, because you just need to get as much weight on that right rear wheel as possible and just pin it. We will see, however, it's Bob King versus Lewis Hewitt. Hewitt, he seems to be closing in.
I don't know about that, Cam, because you're going to be running these cars light for such a short heat race, so you're going to have that wing pretty far forward, I think, to keep that traction down and not get too tight. 3 laps to go currently. Going to be 2 laps to go at the stripe. As Lewis Hewitt lurking behind Bob King. He drives down to the bottom side of the racetrack, harasses that inside line. Bob King, though, not giving an inch. As it's 2 laps to go here for the race. Win lap and a half. Top 3 all very close. Will Hewitt make a move in heat race number 1?
Let's see here. He sips down just enough. Bob King, he starts getting a little loose, and here comes Lewis Hewitt inside. Well, he actually clips the inside pit wall. Alex Bergeron, he has to disengage. It gives Bob King the Heat 1 victory, but Lewis Hewitt and Alex Bergeron fighting for that second position. It's going to go to Lewis Hewitt just like that at the line. There's nothing in it. I think there is probably, what, 6, maybe 7 tenths? But either way, it is going to be Bob King taking first, Lewis Hewitt taking second, Alex Bergeron in third, Stephen Renaud in fourth, Zach McLaughlin in the 5th position, as it was Josh Phillips, Joe Quinn, Blake Derflinger. So we have got heat number 2 ready to rock and roll, and it is going to be started by Nick Cooper. Austin Semmelman will find his way starting outside row number 1 for heat number 2. Joe Berkeley, Graham Bolin, Trent Gosley, Brandon Schmidt, Vinny Sansone, and actually that's a name. We'll talk about that in a moment. And Bradley Cash rounds out this field. Let me get there, but Bradley Cash finishes it out. But yeah, that number 16 of Vinny Sansone. Other drivers might not know that. I just pulled up the interview that he had on the old iRacing News. And Randy, well, you know a little bit about this Vinny Sansone driver. Why don't you tell the class?
Yeah, Vinny's someone who's been racing a lot here. He was once one of the pro NASCAR guys, and he's sort of, I don't want to say he's gone to, just gone to the shadows a little bit, but he does a lot of driving in the open wheel stuff and short wheel stuff on the iRacing sim. He doesn't hop up into the big cars like the NASCAR stuff anymore. Typically runs the asphalt sprints. I think he runs the Silver Crown and the modifieds as well from time to time. So if you're familiar with that end of the sim, you're very, very familiar with someone like Vinny Sansone. He's driven sprint cars in real life as well. I believe he lives in St. Louis. So if you're someone from the Midwest, go to any of the short tracks in that area. It might be a name you recognize. But Vinny Sansone, one of the aces in the asphalt sprint. Interesting to see him starting so far down the order here. Not qualifying very well, but let's see if he can race his way to the front. He's someone I do definitely have an eye on.
Now, one more time around before we get the green going, and I gotta almost say, I almost wonder where the Sturgis brothers are. I mean, they're short track racers, but of course they're asphalt short track racers, I suppose. They're probably busy winning, championships or fighting for championships, and sprint car or in sports cars and top flight NASCAR. So either way, Nick Cooper, when will he drop the throttle, and will the pace truck be able to clear pit lane? I'm sure the pace truck driver very closely watching his mirrors as he dives into pit lane. All right, he's made it to the safety of pit lane, everybody. So Nick Cooper, he's got the whole shot. He gave it about a 2 Mississippi count. Austin Silverman was shot, and there goes a massive slider from Trent Gosley to start off heat number 2.
And that's not going to work out, as he's going to lose that spot to Graham Bull. Another driver immediately drops back down through this field. That's Bradley Cash, as Vinny Sansone fights with Brandon Schmidt. But a lot of close fighting already here in heat race number 2. Nick Cooper, though, he has a nice little gap over Austin Selman, who's fighting right now with Joel Berkeley to come on toward the front straightaway.
Nick Cooper has pulled away in his number 3 machine. Austin Selman, he's just got a couple from Joe Berkeley. Graham Bolin comfortably running in his number 5. Trent Gosley, after that massive lunge, he is now situated himself in the back. Brandon Schmidt, Vinny Sansone, and Bradley Cash. Cash, I think, normally is a little further ahead in his number 6 machine. He's trying to fight the outside to Vinny Sansone. He will get the position running easy. The outside. Yeah, he did. But here comes Sansone again. I think Sansone's just trying to get comfortable. But either way, looking up front, Austin Selman versus Joel Berkeley, that's taken off.
That it has. Nick Cooper is broken away nicely here with this race lead. Selman and Berkeley still very, very close, as well as Graham Bolin and Trent Godley behind. So a couple of little fights here in heat race number 2 as we come to the closing stages. How aggressive are you going to be? There's going to be no feature, or excuse me, no B main tonight, so you're not going to have any worries of not transferring straight to the feature, but still have starting position on the line, and it's 2 laps to go. Bolin stretched out a little bit of a gap, and here comes the 6 machine of Bradley Cash fighting with Brandon Schmidt behind.
Yeah, and of course this is an 8-lap feature, so it is 2 to go this time by, but for Austin Silman, he has Joel Berkeley all over the rear here. There's a massive slider I saw from Trent Gosley. As either way, here comes across the start-finish line. Nick Cooper, he'll take the victory there. Joel Berkeley, somebody's in the wall hard, and that actually collects 2 or 3 cars as Bradley Cash found himself involved. Yeah, I think it was Bolin.
I think he got to the timing beam, though. I don't think he actually lost any spots.
No, well, he hit the rear of Trent Gosley. Gosley threw a massive slider and parked his car right in front. I almost think that was a bit meh. But either way, you know, I think he made it across the line. But either way, let's take a look at the results. It was Nick Cooper, Austin Selman, Berkeley, Bolin, Gosley, Schmidt, Sansone, and then Cash. But we've got the full grid. But yeah, Randy, heat number 2.
Yeah, heat number 2, that was an exciting one. Very, very close. Pretty much clean, except in that last lap or so, a couple big incidents. And really the big talking point of that one is Graham Bolin doing what J.R. Hildebrand couldn't, and that was hitting the wall off of corner number 4, coming to the checkers, and not losing a spot.
Easy now, jeez. It's still a sensitive topic, despite it happening in 2012, which means it was like 6 years ago, which is we're not going to talk about that, how old we have all gotten, though. We are going to talk about how the starting grid for the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Car Series at Volusia is going to look here. All 16 cars find themselves in the feature race, and the number 11 car of Bob King will take us to the green flag. Nick Cooper, his outside. Lewis Hewitt, Joel Berkeley will be starting 3rd and 4th. Alex Bergeron will find himself starting on the inside of row number 3. Keep an eye out on that number 1 machine. I would not be surprised if he drives onto the inside going into corner number 1. Austin someone starts his outside. Stephen Renaud. Trent Gosley. Gosley, he was throwing those wicked sliders, and we need to see how that works out. Hopefully that will not bring out a yellow. Zach McLaughlin, Graham Bolin, Josh Phillips, Brandon Schmidt, Joe Quinn, Bradley Cash, Blake Derflinger, and Vinny Sansone. So, Randy, well, 16 sprint cars ready to rock and roll here in Barberville.
Yeah, hopefully it's going to be a good one. The heat races were nice and clean. Couple drivers jockeying for position, got aggressive coming to the end of a couple of them, but besides that, the heat races were phenomenal. We saw some good moves being made. Let's hope we can have 30 laps of good, clean racing in the 410 sprints here at Volusia tonight.
Fingers crossed that we don't black flag the majority of the field because they hit the inside tire barrier. Either way, we can keep that in the past. The green flag will be coming out this time by. Here we go. We are racing green. Heat number 1 is done. Heat number 2 is done. It's now time for the feature.
Lewis Hewitt makes a big mistake in 1 and 2. He's going to drop a lot of spots as he enters 3 and 4. He goes from 3rd, I think, back to about 8th or 9th. So one little mistake. 9 machine, I think that's Bob King. Huge pile up on your front straightaway. There's a VLR car involved. Trent Gosley as well. I believe that's Austin Selman on the front straightaway. But a lot of cars, as Austin's already exited the server knowing his right is done. A big contact on your front straightaway that has deleted a lot of cars from this feature tonight.
Yeah, Joe Berkeley was running his outside line. He was on the limit. He just started to gain traction. Stephen Renaud, he was running that inside line. He tracked out, I would have to say, and he absolutely pancaked the outside of Joel Berkeley's machine. He got spun around, then he hit Trent Gosley, the number 2 machine of Austin Semmelman, which sent all of them into the air, and then they collected, I think, 1 or 2 more machines. Josh Phillips lost a front nose cone. But either way, we're under yellow once again, and it doesn't seem like we're setting ourselves up here, Randy, for something that would be equivalent to the late model race, looking more perhaps like the GRC race, because it looks to me like we've already retired at least 3.
Yeah, it's just been, you know, like you said, the Volusia curse. I don't know how we have 2 heat races go so clean and then come out in the feature and that starts happening. You got a much longer race, and while there are more cars, you're still starting up near the front, but still mistakes are going to happen. Wrecking is part of racing. We didn't really lose that many cars, really, if you really think about it. I think we've only lost 2 technically. I think maybe closer to 3 or 4. There's a couple cars that are still down on pit lane that haven't lost a lap up until right now, so they're only going to be 1 lap down as opposed to 2. But the field stacks is way up. Still have the vast majority of the field running. Still a lot of talented guys out there. As Nerf bar usage already here, I think between Selman and I think that's Grant Bolin in the 2nd and 3rd rows. But this should be, it still has the potential to be a good one. Fingers crossed, let's make it happen.
Still has potential, quote, end quote. Also, shout out to Blake Durflinger. He did an amazing job driving through that wreck. Either way, Bob King looks to spool it up once again. Nick Cooper, his outside. It's the same starting row. Nick Cooper crowded him for just a moment's time, but Bob King has said goodbye. He has got the start. He's going to throw the car up to the outside line, takes away the momentum from Nick Cooper. We are green once again here at Barberville.
The 2, 3, and 4. Everyone going to the top side of the racetrack, which is interesting because of the shelf up there. Normally, around a track like Volusia, you'll see drivers go down to the bottom, but the entry is somewhat flickened up. Fight is on for second, as Bergeron is going to fight with Nick Cooper for that spot. One machine goes down to that low side of the racetrack, but seems like there's no traction to be had. The shelf is where you want to be. Nick Cooper shows good momentum up top. He'll hold on to position number 2.
Bob King looking comfortable right now in his number 11 machine. Nick Cooper, he's doing all right. Alex Bergeron, he's trying the inside line. His left front wheel almost hitting the pit wall barrier, but it indeed does not. Joel Berkeley, he is running right behind, almost the exact same lap time to the 1,000. Joel Berkeley on the outside. Will he make an outside pass here at Volusia Speedway Park? It looks almost assured as Bergeron tracks up top. Lewis Hewitt is now looking to go on to the attack, but it looks to me like that inside line has fallen apart, Randy, and everyone is going to be staying to that outside.
That's, like I said, that's something I'm not used to seeing here at Volusia. You typically want to be down along the bottom of the racetrack, and that to me is a good thing because we've got this field somewhat spread out, and because of that, we're going to get a lot of nice green flag running in this one. That means that top side of the racetrack is going to be able to get torn up and go away. So while things are going to be somewhat stagnant now, as long as we stay green, that top groove will get slowly and slowly flicker and flicker. And as you get up the racetrack, Cam, not only does it get more precarious if you get closer to the wall, but it gets flatter and flatter up there, and eventually these guys will have to start moving back down the racetrack looking for speed.
Yeah, and Bob King, well, he's going to be the plow. He's going to be the one leading this field because he is, after 13 laps of 30, still your leader, and, well, wherever he goes, the field will probably follow. I am noticing some significant movement from that right wheel, the right rear wheel right now as they exit the corner when the car straightens out. It seems to me it is getting looser and looser, and it almost looks to me as, well, we'll take a look at the times they come across. Bob King, 14.2, 4, and to 14.2, 14.2 for the rest. So Bob King slightly slower that time by, but here comes Joel Berkeley, almost the wheel to Nerf bar. That will ruin his momentum. That allows Alex Bergeron to ride the cushion. That cushion actually kills Bergeron's momentum, so reactionary maneuvering here in the top 5.
Bergeron's been one of the quickest cars on the racetrack, so I think we're going to see a little bit of a stack up here for second of the 4 machine of Lewis Hewitt. I'm not sure what that was. That was far too hard, Lewis. I don't know how you expected that to work, but he's on his lid. That was a bit of a silly maneuver there. Really drove it in hard underneath Joel Berkeley, and there was no grip, and he came from like 5 or 6 car lengths back. I'm not sure what the 4 was expecting, but if it was anything besides ending up on his lid, he needs to rethink himself.
It looked to me like he threw the car when there was dirt. He was not on that outside greasy line. The problem is that a moment later, he was on that greasy line. I think he really wanted to try to really wrangle the car and throw it to the inside, but he just threw way too hard of a header in there, and that just took out Lewis Hewitt.
Those are teammates, too.
Oh, yeah, that is going to be an interesting thing because I have a feeling that those haulers are probably parked next to each other, which means at some point they're going to have to, at the very least, see each other. But for right now, Bob King, he is your current leader, and I got to say, Randy, he's been putting down a very good pace.
Yeah, Bob's been phenomenal tonight, just running out there. He's just been clean. He's not actually been the quickest car. As we were getting towards the tail end of that little run, actually it was Alex A. Bergeron in the one machine. He was one of the quicker drivers on the racetrack. Joel Berkeley is putting down quick times as well. Nick Cooper was a little bit quicker than Bob, but not much. Wasn't really reeling him in. But now that there's a couple cars, well, there's one car out of Bergeron's way. Bergeron was quick. And there's have Joel Berkeley in third, who after that big hit, not sure if he's going to have any major damage or what. If Bergeron can pounce and get his way to third very, very quickly here, he'll have 10 laps to potentially get 2 cars and get to the race win. I think that number 1 machine might just have something for those 2 in front of him.
What a momentous night it has been. GRC was tough running at Phoenix. Late models at Lanier was absolutely sensational. Now we've got 10 laps to decide. The victor here in the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Car Series, Bob King. He is going to punch it, and he has got the hole, and following on the inside is Joel Berkeley. We are green for the final 10 laps at Volusia.
Joel Berkeley's going to drop to the 3rd spot, though, with Alex Bergeron. He's going to try to work the middle, but no, he gets down to the bottom. Berkeley's going to try to slide up the racetrack in front of Nick Cooper, and Bergeron down to the bottom. I told you he was quick. He gets the car back down there. Doesn't quite get clear of Berkeley, and this is going to bring in Nick Cooper under attack of the one machine as well. 12 immediately goes down low. Also, so maybe a little bit of speed dropping off at top. Yeah, everyone's looking at that bottom side of the racetrack looking for speed. Is Bergeron still against the wall down there?
I think Bergeron perhaps used it a little too early. He showed everybody that the speed is down there. Even Bob King is moving to that inside line, and he actually has a mistake on the exit. He pouches, he pancakes to the right wheel, and we are 4 wide for the lead as the yellow was going to look to come out. As we had contact, we were 4 wide for the lead with 5 laps to go. And my goodness, Randy, that is, well, maybe in late models we can do that, but with these open wheel cars, I just don't know.
Yeah, I think that I really can't assign fault anywhere. It may have been Bob King. You could argue Bob was a little over-aggressive trying to fight, but I think that's just one of those situations, Cam, at a racetrack like Volusia. There's not a lot of place to make passes work, and everyone saw an open door. Alex saw an opportunity to take the lead. Bob saw an opportunity to take the lead. Joel and Nick Cooper, all 4 of those cars had an opportunity to take the lead there, and they all went for it. And when that happens, what just happened is going to happen. I don't think there's any fault on any of those drivers. It's just one of those things that's going to happen.
No, but I think if I was perhaps in Berkeley's machine, I would have seen perhaps that Bob King machine. Just I know with how wide of an angle that car was running, that thing was going to be snapping straight, and that's exactly what happened. If he just gave it perhaps just a hair off the throttle or a hair on the brake, but we're talking about micromanaging that stuff, and that is just not gonna fly. So let's call it what it is, a racing incident. And now we have got Bob King, who has got to do a restart with Alex Bergeron and Graham Bolin here to round out the rest of the night. Thank you all very much to you, the fans out there, for watching along. A little bit of contact between our front 2 cars. Let's see how it goes. We've got a couple of more laps of action at Volusia Speedway Park. Let's get it underway. Pace car looking to move to the safety of pit lane, and
Alex
boy,
is angsty.
Not only that, that pace truck is going to want to get to pit lane because things are about to kick off. If we've got the last couple of laps here for yet another Friday night Dirt Night iRacing Live RaceSpot TV World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Car Series present to you final 3 laps near green here at Volusia.
Alex was chomping at the bit to go back to green flag racing here, and he does not get the start he needs, as he's got a couple car lengths. He has to try to reel into Bob King, but he's quick on the bottom. Clips that inside wall a little bit, but no harm, no foul. That one machine is hooked up. Now he goes to the top, working on that 11 Bergeron, the quickest car on the racetrack for sure. Huge head of steam down the back straightaway coming to the white.
Bob King can't find the grip right now. Bergeron's going to have to find the way. Bob King, he knows he doesn't have the fast car. He's just going to have to play defensive right now. Where is he going to find? We are on the final lap right now. Where is Bergeron going to go? Is he going to make contact as he looks to go high? He'll probably dive in to go low. No, he's going to try on the outside line. I don't think there's going to be any speed there. Bob King, he is going to come away with a feature race. And just like that, we've got one car crashing across the start-finish line. That's Blake Durflinger. But I think they did it past the start-finish line. So my goodness me, what a drag race to the finish for this one. And well, let's take a look very quickly at the results because I like to see just where everyone finished out of this one. Volusia Speedway Park, well, it was a fairly good one. 3 cautions, that's what we'd like to see, but you know what? Good at running all together. Bob King, well, that number 11 car will take the victory, so I got that one 10 minutes and 59 seconds. And he started first, finished first. Alex Bergeron, what a challenge. He went from 5th to 2nd. Graham Bolin from 10th to 3rd. We're going to get him here in the booth once again. Bradley Cash, he'll finish 4th. Joel Berkeley in 5th. Blake Durflinger, after that amazing survival in that opening incident, he will come home 6th. Brandon Schmidt in 7th. Zach McLaughlin in the 8th. Vinny Sansone, well, he went from 16th to 9th. Not a bad day at all. Joe Quinn will finish in 10th. Nick Cooper, Lewis Hewitt, Stephen Renaud, Josh Phillips, Trent Gosley, and then Austin Semmelman rounding out your field. And Randy, well, I'd have to say I could have, we could have done with one less caution there, but overall, good race.
Yeah, we could have done with a little bit of, you know, slightly cleaner race because we did lose a lot of cars. Of 16 cars that took the green in that feature, only 10 came across the stripe, and a couple of those drivers, like you said, 29 laps down for Semmelman, Gosley, Phillips, and Renaud. They're all 27 laps down, 20-some odd laps down. So we lost a number of cars early, but still, it was a good, exciting finish tonight. I don't know if the sprint car race was quite on the par with the late model race. If they kept that 4 wide clean, it just very well might have been, but they didn't, and so I think the late models definitely had the race of the night. But I would comfortably say sprint cars, second most exciting race of the night, and for the first time, I think that Rallycross really was a bit of a letdown and comes in 3rd.
Well, they can all be winners. I forgot what the Primus album. They can't all be zingers, actually. There we go. Either way, we have got a couple of drivers here to interview. We don't have Bob King, but we do have Alex Bergeron. And Alex Bergeron, well, I think you interviewed him the last time, right?
Yes.
So I will interview him this time. Alex Bergeron climbing out of his Ford Sandwing sprint car. You started in 5th. You came home in 2nd here at Volusia Speedway Park. You were hooked up that last half of the race, but just take me through the whole race and then take me through that last half when you were just absolutely on a roll.
Yeah, on the first couple of laps, just trying to run, you know, the line and not make any moves. But at the end, the track was coming in, and the bottom at the turn 4 was coming in by, I saw Lewis on the bottom and turn 4 and say, oh, next time I'm going to go down there. But it was an accident in front of me with Tim and his teammates, so I was lucky to avoid that. And at the end, you know, with the restart a couple of laps ago, we just tried to make our way home and just trying to get some good points. But, you know, I was much faster than Bob, you know, with the bottom, but he got it. You know, it's still racing. Should have gone to the top, and you know, but it's part of it. So yeah, it's just, at the end, I mean, it's racing. It's not much I could have done there.
Yeah, and Volusia, typically we always have run into some issues here. We did have a couple of incidents, couple of cautions. Overall, though, I got to say the track kind of wore in to where we would expect to have a good time, but just kind of take me through that last green flag run there. It was only a couple of laps long. But either way, you were just absolutely hooked up. You seem to have grip everywhere. You seem to be able to put the power down everywhere. But Bob King, well, he had the positioning.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think it's when I threw a slider in turn 1. When you hit the wall on the front straightaway, I threw a slider there in turn 1. And, you know, I think it was like 5 wide on the back straightaway or something like that. So, you know, he had the position when the caution came out, so that was, you know, that was the thing that's why we lost. Because with the restart, he had the advantage, and you know, the only thing I could do there is follow him, and you know, I could, even though I could have done the move, it would have been risky, and yeah, it's not possible when you're 2 car lane back. And you know, you went down there in turn 3 and 4, you know, like I did, so there was nowhere I could have passed him other than bump him, and I didn't want to do that. So it's you know, it's good. 2nd place, it's a podium. So finished 4th in the late models and 2nd here. So I'm happy with that tonight.
Well, either way, anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, all my sponsor, Marink, and the Drill Spill, Team VLR for the team, and we had a good run. Sad my teammate Austin and other guys got involved in an accident early in the race, but you know, it's sad, but at least we got a good result for VLR again tonight. So well, it's gonna be like this next week.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But either way, congrats on the second place finish, and thanks so much for hopping in the booth with us. We'll see you next week.
Sir.
So that's Alex Bergeron. Randy, you have Graham Bolin for the first time. I don't even remember anywhere. It's Graham Bolin, and he is standing by with Randy Chenowth.
Yeah, I'm stood by with Graham Bolin. And Graham, what a night of racing it was for you tonight. Got a big comeback race in the feature of GRC to come home third, and then get another podium here in this one in the World of Outlaws at Volusia. How'd you manage to do that one?
They wrecked a lot. It was kind of scary. Like, I was dodging wrecks, and I was still racing people, but mostly dodging wrecks. It was still fun, but I wish there was less contact and everything. It's kind of one-laned for the most part for the first couple laps, so everybody's just fighting for that one line, and it kind of gets hectic. It was one point at like 5 wide for, I think, like 5th on back. It was kind of scary.
That's the second time we've actually seen 5 wide tonight, so you sprint car guys tried your best. The late model guys definitely did it a little bit better. But I mean, you sort of had a similar night in the GRC race as well. And how hectic is it having to go from a very, very tight, rallycross style race, avoiding wrecks all night, and then going into the sprint cars, which, for you, because you've really been the best coming from the rallycross cars into these dirt oval races for sure. Which for you was the most difficult to run, and what's the most difficult for avoidance and just trying to survive your way, work your way up the field in one of these feature events?
Well, these cars are more like able to, they take more than the GRC cars do. Like, I can get hit really hard in the sprint car and not take any damage. So it's hard avoiding the wrecks, but it's not as hard as GRC because you get damaged so easily in there.
Thanks for joining us, Graham, and congratulations on once again, because you might be the best driver across the rallycross and the dirt oval stuff as well. There's not a lot of guys we're seeing really run both. We'll typically see some drivers do both the dirt oval stuff, and we might see 1 or 2 other people that were in both shows, but you're definitely the most consistent and finishing up near the front the most consistently across the thresholds, we'll say. But before we let you go, Graham, any shout outs, and who would you like to thank after an intense night of racing tonight?
You guys for broadcasting and Nexus Esports, and that's really it. Thank you guys. It's been an awesome night.
No worries, Graham. Thank you for making it so exciting in this one. And Cam, that's Mr. Comeback. I think he had to go from the back to the front in that GRC race as well, and he did it again here in the sprint cars, 10th to 3rd.
Yeah, not a bad day at all for Graham Bolin, and, well, not a bad day for the number 11 cars either, as Jacob Fields and Bob King take the victory. But either way, we would like to thank you, actually, and give you guys the shout out, because as Hugo is showing y'all, we've got the music, because that means that we have marked yet another chapter in the iRacing Dirt Night. It has been an absolute pleasure. It's been fun under the lights here in the dirt oval side of things. Dirt Road normally puts on an absolutely fantastic race, but you know what? Next week, well, it's only 1 week away, so we hope that you will be with us, and well, we hope that you all have a good night and a safe night. Stay safe out there with that storm pounding the northeast right now, and we will catch you all in 1 week's time. It's gonna be fun. It's myself, Cam Walsh, Randy Chenowth, and Hugo Louis over there, and we will catch you all later. Thank you so very much for making us part of your day. So long for now.